We are just 2 weeks away from the best time of the year, that of course being the Texas high school football playoffs. Win or go home games realistically start this week, guys, and we are amped up for it as we look to crown some more district champions heading into week 10 of Dave Campbell's Texas football tonight. Welcome into the studios here at the University of North Texas. My name is Ashley Pickle, the executive producer of Dave Campbell's. We have our managing editor, Greg Tepper, and our social media strategist, Mr. Ishmael Johnson. Guys, you amped up for week 10?
I'm fired up. You know, you mentioned it. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty of the playoffs. The playoff picture is starting to take shape, and it's the kind of thing that has been culminating throughout the course of the year, and every game matters. As these games get deeper into the season, they matter more. It's like cooking something, I don't know, Ish. It takes a lot to make a stew, and that's kind of what we're doing here is we're making that stew for the playoffs.
Yeah, you say last week was kind of getting all the good meat, right? Getting all the meat in there, but you still got some seasonings, right?
Yeah.
Just kind of sprinkle on top to make sure that it's ready to go by obviously next week. And then, by the way, after next week, Saturday, got a little something for y'all planned. So there's a little plug for something potentially coming as the season wraps up as well.
All right, we'll get to that in just a bit.
Can I ask you a question? Are you excited about week 10?
Oh, I'm amped up about week 10.
Okay,
not to mention, it sounds good, or if it sounds good, it feels good out there. Like football weather is finally here.
You woke up and you're like, oh, this is right.
It's cool. I'm in a sweater for like an actual purpose rather than just the studio being cold, which is definitely part of it. But no, the stew, you don't got to convince me it's soup season, okay?
Okay, that's
Big
fine.
soup season. Let's go ahead and get to a little bit of that stew. Spotlight games across the state as we take a look for week 10, Little Cypress Mauriceville and Huffman Hargrave. Then we head up to the DFW. You've got two big time matchups, Mansfield taking on the Panthers of North Crowley, and then Denton Geyer and Louisville. That one should be fun. Heading down to Central Texas we go, Lake Belton and Georgetown. Bastrop taking on Pflugerville in a critical district matchup, and then we round it all out with East Chambers and Orange Field.
I bet I know who wins that game. I bet I know who wins that game.
We've gotten a little bit of a confirmation that game is.
We're still working on that one.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're going to talk to a couple of the broadcasters throughout the night who are calling these games for us. James Tritley, Cameron Parker, Russell Mabin, and we round it out with Trevor Bullard and our very own Director of Recruiting, Greg Powers, who's out at that Denton Geyer and Louisville game. So, guys, an incredible slate of games heading into week 10. We got to tell the people, though, why these matters, because some of them you look at and you go, well, that's not for a district championship. Why are we talking about that?
Right. This is the time of year where a lot of our job is explaining the stakes and explaining why these games matter. In 2 weeks, that part of our job is kind of over because it's like, oh, the playoffs are here. If you win, you get to keep playing, and if you lose, you're blowing up basketballs. But tonight, we've got big games that are going to shape the Texas high school football brackets in a segment we like to call Why This Game Matters. We'll start with that game down there in Southeast Texas, Little Cypress Mauriceville taking on Huffman Hargrave. This is almost certainly, barring something crazy down the stretch in Week 11, the District 10-4A Division I title game. Huffman Hargrave has been absolutely electrifying offensively, the number 2 scoring offense in all of 4A Division I, but they will have their work cut out for them against this Little Cypress Mauriceville Bears team led by Tucker Floyd on the defensive side. We know how well this Bears defense can play. This is a real strength-on-strength matchup.
Let's move up to the DFW area and let's talk Mansfield versus North Crowley. Of course, North Crowley, the number 3 team in Class 6A, looking to remain unbeaten. Why does this game really matter, you say, from a Mansfield perspective? This is a team that has playmakers that, let me be clear, can absolutely hang with North Crowley on the offensive side. Braxton Van Cleve at quarterback, of course, Jacoby Hayes at wide receiver, and Teddy Clark at running back. Can they make the stops on the defensive end to be able to make this a game? That's what remains to be seen.
We head on now to staying in the DFW in a massive District 5 6A clash. This one has a lot to do with playoff seeding. Coppell all but assuredly has won that district championship, but these two teams vying for that second spot. Louisville would go D1 and Denton Geyer would go D2, but still home field advantage on the cusp there. So Geyer has finally started to found their offensive groove. How will that match up against a Louisville team that also has their skill on the offensive side of the ball, one of the best offensive lines out of anybody in the state of Texas, with a recently named by our director of recruiting, Greg Powers, 5-star held by Michael Fasusi.
He is a name to know, most certainly. Now, let's matriculate down to Central Texas. Lake Belton taking on Georgetown in a District 8-5A Division I game. There is, I'll just say this, the district title is not going to be won tonight, but it can be lost by one of these teams. The winner here is going to be in the pole position heading into Week 11, depending on how the rest of the district breaks. Jet Walker, the Georgetown running back, is the name to know. Almost 1,600 yards on the year. He went off for a school record 400-plus yards last week on just 16 carries. He is lightning in a bottle. And this Lake Belton team, led by Eli Mascarenas at the quarterback spot, they are a team that is largely winning on the margins. They've played 5 one-score games, and they're 4-1 in them. So can they keep that magic alive?
Staying in the Central Texas area, let's talk about one of the more unheralded quarterback matchups of the year so far. Of course, we talked about Cole Taylor, the senior quarterback, dual sport athlete, baseball guy there at Pflugerville. But let's talk about Weston Nielsen, the sophomore 2027 4-star prospect for Bastrop, has the Bears potentially on the verge of a district championship. They have to win this game, and that sets up a winner-take-all against Liberty Hill next week. This is going to be one of the better quarterback matchups you're going to see in the state. Weston Nielsen making his debut on Texas football tonight. Very excited for this one.
Let's round it all out in the Houston area with some small school matchups here. East Chambers taking on Orangefield. This one an absolute slugfest. So with the win, Orangefield could clinch the District 10 3A Division I title. Gold Balls potentially in their future. On the other side of that, though, what they're going to have to do, that defense is going to be up against a tough test with an East Chambers team that's averaging over 7 yards per carry as a team. Guys, East Chambers is not scared to run the rock.
No, and they will run it out of multiple formations there. I'm excited for everybody to get a chance to see this Buccaneers team from East Chambers. And so what I love about this time of year is that for all of these teams, whether we can point to something in the district standings and say these are the stakes, that's obvious. There's also games like Louisville and Denton Guyer, where I look at that game, Ishmael, and I say, all right, no, there's not anything from a playoff perspective necessarily on the line. You obviously want to win these games. But I think from a confidence perspective heading into the playoffs, for both of these teams where they've been at times up and down, to finish the year on a hot streak with a big win, and for both of them, it'll be a big win. That would be really important for either of these teams.
Yeah, to pitch it to some of our Thursday games in a little bit. One game that we're going to talk about, actually both games I say we're going to talk about, really about how the teams finished, right? Willis in one example, College Station in another example. Not necessarily about, you know, the most pivotal, like, oh, they're winning the district now. In Willis's case, yes, sure. But in College Station's case, they don't play next week. And so the way they ended their year is where they want to go in terms of positivity, is where they want to go ahead into the postseason.
Absolutely, and like Ish said, it is time to get into our Thursday night action before we bring you that incredible slate of Friday games. So coming up after the break, we're going to show you an absolute thriller between College Station and Pflugerville Weiss down there at the Field. But we have to get you geared up.
The P is silent.
No. Pflugerville, Puffield, Puffun is what it was. But let's hear our Thursday night call of the night from our very own EJ Sanchez. We'll see you after the break.
It looks like Stony Pryor will bleed this clock and for the time being take his team and keep him on the field on 4th and 6. The Weiss crowd rises to their feet. It's Step. No, it's not. Martinez Brown has it. Touchdown, College Station. Misdirection. You want to talk about clutch? How about 5 touchdowns?
Want to talk Texas high school football with your 2 favorite dorks? Join television's Greg Tepper and Ashley Gizmo Pickle every Monday and Thursday at noon on TexasFootball.com. Texas Football Today, the flagship program of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. It's the same analysis, insight, review, and preview that you've come to know and love. Talking about Texas high school football and college football all across the Lone Star State.
In a college football world that's increasingly nationalized, Dave Campbell's Texas Football presents The Republic of Football, the only comprehensive podcast on all 13 college teams in Texas. Live every Tuesday at noon on the Dave Campbell's YouTube page, Twitter, Facebook pages, and publishing on Apple Podcasts and Spotify shortly thereafter, host Ishmael Johnson leads the gang in discussing the biggest college football stories from the state. You get coverage of the SEC, Big 12, ACC, AAC, CUSA, and Sunbelt, but with a little Texas twist. No one has their finger on the pulse like senior college writer MC Mike Craven, staff writer Carter Yates, and everyone's favorite Malpal producer Mallory Hartley. Come spend your lunch break, your car ride, or gym session with the Republic of Football. Live on Tuesdays at noon at TexasFootball.com and published everywhere you get your podcast shortly thereafter.
Are you ready to kick off your Wednesdays with a fresh, fun, and fearless take on football? Tune in to Women Talking Football, hosted by the dynamic duo of Dave Campbell's Texan Live, Ashley Pickle, and Mallory Hartley. Every Wednesday at 12 p.m., join us on TexasFootball.com as we deep dive into every corner of the Lone Star State's football scene. From exclusive insights with coaches' wives to on-the-ground reports from across Texas, we've got the inside scoop you won't get anywhere else. Get ready for a game-changing experience where the ladies bring their A-game and you might just find yourself saying WTF in the best way possible. Women Talking Football, where sports analysis meets sass and expertise. You can't miss it.
Want to go deep on Texas high school football? Check out Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Each week, Greg Tepper and Matt Stepp take you inside Texas high school football like nobody else, breaking down the biggest games and the biggest storylines from all across the state. Want to know more about Texas high school football than the guy at your water cooler? Go to TexasFootball.com and become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber so you can get Tep and Step in your podcast feed. Or tune in every Friday at noon at TexasFootball.com for premium insights from Texas high school football experts Matt Stepp and Greg Tepper.
Campbell's Texas Football tonight, rolling on the internet. Hello, I'm Greg. There was football action last night, and actually a critical District 12 5A Division I matchup between the College Station Cougars and the Pflugerville-Weiss Wolves. The district title is out of grasp for either of these teams. They both lost to A&M Consolidated, but a home playoff game was on the line at the field in Pflugerville. There's a P in front of both of those words. Let's go to the highlights down there in Central Texas. And it was a wild one. Starting in the first quarter, this is Nick Johnson for Pflugerville-Weiss taking the handoff up the middle. He will scooch into the end zone for a 5-yard score. And Weiss draws first blood. They're up 7-0. Now into the second quarter, they're up 10-0. And this time, the freshman quarterback, Jackson Chad, he's going to hit the Colorado commit, Adrian Wilson. He's holding that ball like a loaf of bread, coasting in for a 73-yard touchdown. Weiss is up 17-0. 17-0. College Station won't go away. Aiden Martinez-Brown, remember that name, 3-yard touchdown, cuts the Weiss lead to 17-7. But second quarter, this is a little trickeration. It's a wide receiver pass. Darren Yelberry finds the wide open Adrian Wilson, once again holding it like a loaf of bread, in for the score. 61-yard touchdown, trickeration. It's 24-7 Weiss. They're running away with it. Second quarter, this is Wilson's stat here for College Station, keeping them close, 4-yard touchdowns, 24-14. But right before the half, this felt like the dagger. As I was watching this game, I'm going to be honest. This was Braden Woolley right up the gut for a 43-yard scamper. Weiss is up 31-17 at the half, okay? Second half now. Aiden Martinez-Brown, his second touchdown of the game, makes it 31-24. Weiss still in front. Still in the third quarter, it's Aiden Martinez-Brown. From 3 yards out, his third touchdown of the game, we're knotted up at 31. Into the fourth quarter now, guess who? Aiden Martinez-Brown, his fourth touchdown of the game, dragging defenders in for a 12-yard touchdown. College Station has their first lead in the game. It's 38-31. Then fourth quarter, on fourth down, it's Aiden Martinez-Brown off the left side. He scores 4 unanswered touchdowns, 27 unanswered for College Station in the second half to take a 44-31 lead. Weiss last gasp here. Nick Johnson plunges in for a 2-yard touchdown. They would go for the onside kick, but come up short as College Station, an unbelievable come-from-behind victory over Pflugerville Weiss to grab the reins of second place in District 12 5A Division I. Let's hear from the man who called it, E.J. Sanchez.
What is going on, Texas high school football fans? We have gone final here at the field in Pflugerville, a 44-38 win for the Cougars of College Station as they come into Pflugerville and take down the Pflugerville Weiss Wolves, 44-38, a tale of two halves from the start. First half dominated by Weiss. They led 17-0 at one point. They took a 31-17 lead into the locker room, and if there's anything this game proves, it's that experience matters in November. Two big keys that really had this game flip on its head. First, in the first half, to finish it off, Gustavo Lopez hits a 49-yard field goal and a very good 2-minute drill run by Cade Corcoran, the senior quarterback for College Station. And then coming out of halftime with a 14-point deficit, College Station is able to jump on a fumble from the Weiss running game and immediately turn it into points. And not only just those points, it turned into a 5-touchdown performance for Aiden Martinez-Brown, the senior running back for College Station. 155 total all-purpose yards. He was tremendous. Wilson Stapp, Connor Cashin, anybody that got in at the running back position for College Station tonight, they were tremendous. Cade Corcoran, all he really had to do in the second half was manage the clock, and he did it very well. College Station only ran 2 pass plays in the second half. They relied on that big, experienced offensive line, and it showed. So they come out, they take down Pflugerville Weiss to lock up the second seed in District 12 5A Division I, and so it'll go A&M Consolidated, College Station, and next week it sets up a battle between Anderson and Pflugerville Weiss to decide who will be the third seed that will be taking on the second seed in District 13. Still a lot on the stakes, but it was a great game here in Pflugerville. So happy to be on the call. But that's your final, 44-38. College Station comes into Pflugerville and takes down the Wolves of Pflugerville Weiss.
Thanks, EJ. Appreciate you. This was a huge come-from-behind win for College Station. And like we were talking about, how not every game is going to be for a district championship, but these games matter, and you might be thinking second place, third place, who cares? The playoff path just got easier for College Station by virtue of that win. And now, if you're Pflugerville Weiss, next weekend's Anderson, that's must win, because you finished 4th. You're playing a district champion. And by the way, you might be thinking that, like, oh, a home playoff game, what does that matter? District 11, their by-district bunkmate, that's in Houston. Mm-hmm. So that means that Pflugerville Weiss will be playing in Houston in the first round of the playoffs.
Which playoff atmosphere on the road, that is never easy. But, man, we got to talk about Aiden Martinez-Brown. This is a kid that we saw really start to come up his sophomore year. If you remember College Station, when they went to their state championship runs there for a couple years under head coach Steve Huff, had an incredible running back in Marquise Collins. He ends up not being in full health, and all of a sudden we're going, oh, man, that's it for College Station. They're done. And in walks this sophomore, and Aiden Martinez-Brown, who just put the entire state of Texas on notice, and he's still doing that. We talked a lot about getting confidence right before you go into the playoffs-ish. That felt like a game where College Station needed their senior star to really, really step up and know that he, historically, his past 3 years playing, 2 years, has always been the guy that lights it up in the playoffs. So he's back in that playoff full form.
Yeah, and we mentioned, this week isn't necessarily all about district championships or like playing for the playoff spot. But in the case of College Station, right, let's take that second place finish. They know where they are now, right? They kick their feet up next week. They know, okay, we didn't win the district, but we can kind of see where we're headed next, the by-district round. It gives them that level of comfortability, and it also gives them that confidence in saying, hey, we just overcame a 17-point deficit last week of our season. We're ready for the playoffs, right? We're ready for those do-or-die moments now. And so they can clean some stuff up next week, kind of look at the landscape, and then go into by-district pretty comfortably. Now, like you mentioned, if you're Weiss, like Tepper mentioned, not as easy, right? Obviously, you want to be able to, you don't want to have to go to Houston, right? You want to be able to play your way into a comfortable spot, but, that's the situation you put them in. So again, not necessarily do or die in these games, but it's about making your path easier or knowing what your surrounding environment's going to be going into November.
And to put a fine point on this, okay? Yeah. Right now, Weiss and Anderson are playing next week, and the loser of that game is probably going to Angleton in round 1. Okay, that's an
As
undefeated
a by-district round.
That's an
a tough
undefeated
draw.
Angleton team.
Yeah.
So these games have ripple effects that even if you're not hoisting a gold ball, for College Station, you have made the path a lot more manageable where you might play a team like Crosby in the first round of playoffs, where, Crosby's going to enter the playoffs probably like 5-5 or something like that, and you'll get them at home. Those are the types of things that have huge implications when the playoff brackets come out.
Yeah. Speaking of gold balls, we have potentially a team trying to win one. We'll talk about Willis versus Grand Oaks here in a bit, but before we do, want to crown our Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week like we always do. Can I get the drum roll, please? Shout out Wolf City running back H.D. Davis, one of the leading rushers in the state. 350 yards rushing on 25 carries, 4 touchdowns, 2A Division I. 2A showing out this year. Had a couple of Shelbyville wins as well. So how about the Class 2A again, taking another Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week. Congrats to H.D. Davis from Wolf City. We'll be back after this. You're watching Texas Football Tonight.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Texas Army National Guard are honored to present the Coach of the Week Award, celebrating one head coach in 7 different classifications. That's 6A all the way down to 6-man, and of course, private school every single week. Think your head coach deserves some recognition? Nominate them under our weekly Twitter and Facebook post. Those will come out Friday at 10:30 p.m., Saturday 8:30 p.m., and Sunday at 6:30 p.m. That's facebook.com/Dave Campbell's or at DCTF on Twitter. Thank you to Texas Army National Guard for helping spotlight the hard work and dedication of high school head coaches across Texas.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Ozarka will announce 7 Team of the Week winners for 14 weeks of the Texas high school football season from Class 6A down to 6-man and including private schools. Head to texasfootball.com, go to the awards tab, and find Ozarka Team of the Week to see this season's winners and vote for your program to be named. Winners are announced every Wednesday on Twitter and Facebook.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Panini America are teaming up this season to honor the best high school quarterbacks across the state of Texas. 7 quarterbacks, 1 in each classification, 1A through 6A in private schools, will be named Quarterback of the Week and will receive a virtual Panini America trading card to commemorate their performance. Check out which outstanding quarterback was selected each Tuesday morning on the Dave Campbell's Twitter and Facebook pages.
Your power is unstoppable. And with us cheering you on, there's no limit to where it can take you. Baylor Scott and White Health, the power to live better.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Wing have selected 64 high schools in DFW to take part in a head-to-head online bracket challenge, showing their school pride and community spirit during the 2024 Texas high school football season. The winner will receive a $5,000 donation back to their school. We're currently in the Elite 8, which concludes November 1st. For more information on the challenge, go to texasfootball.com/most-spirited-school-challenge.
Texas Football Tonight, our Thursday recap is almost done. We got one more game to talk about. I mentioned it a little bit. Willis trying to play for a district championship back-to-back. Despite losing DJ Lagway, Jack Emerson, and Jermaine Bishop have them in position, but they have to beat Grand Oaks from Conroe. Let's see if they were able to do it. Starting here in the first quarter as you go to the highlights. Wide receiver Jermaine Bishop, just like I mentioned, on the option play from Jack Emerson. How about that? Oh, run 21 yards from him put Willis up 7-0 early. Staying here in the first quarter, this is going to be Jack Emerson looking like DJ Lagway, finding Romel Stevens on a 56-yard touchdown, wide open, all Wildcats, but here comes Grand Oaks. This is going to be Keelan Goss. Look at that. Breaks the tackle, gets to the left side, follows his man, follow the block. Yes, sir. 27 yards to get Grand Oaks on the board. But Willis, this offense has been insane this year. This is going to be Dalion Robinson on the jet sweep, 10-yard touchdown run, 21-7, and right back down. Dalion Robinson, again, 5-yard touchdown, 28-7 Willis. And here's this. This is going to be a deep shot right there. Oh, what a shot. Right there. Sorry, excuse me. As we now, you see the point I was trying to make. It was all Willis. 63-21. All Wildcats in this one. I mean, guys, look, this is a team that we thought was going to take a big step back. You lose Mr. Texas football, a guy who is now succeeding at the SEC with Florida, probably saving their head coach's job right now. You lose a guy like that, and you naturally think, okay, this team's not going to be that great. Or probably not that great, but not as good, clearly. They did the same thing this year as they did last year. Undefeated regular season, 10-0 district title.
Yep, 10-0. And they get the Week 11 open date, which is very interesting, too. Get a week to prepare for the playoffs. I'm not quite sure we are giving enough of a threat level to Willis that we should be. 10-0 is 10-0, and they've run a gauntlet. They've come out of District 13 undefeated. They are probably heading for a third-round matchup with DeSoto. And
a DeSoto team that looked mortal this year, more mortal than they have.
Absolutely.
And they even pushed them last year when those two teams met in the same round.
I'm glad you brought that up, because it was interesting for about a half before DeSoto hit the gas and really kind of blew them out there at the end, right? It was a close game that ended up not being close. And I think Willis remembers that. Yep. And I'll just say this, it's hard to pick against a two-time defending state champ like DeSoto is, and certainly to be the man, you got to beat the man. I will just tell you that Willis looks like the kind of team that can win Region 2. And at that point, you're on the short list of teams that can win a state championship. I mean, they are the real stinking deal. Jack Emerson, their quarterback, has stepped up. And Jermaine Bishop, I mean, he's the Travis Hunter of Texas high school football. He is a star on both sides of the ball. He is sensational to watch.
And it's funny that you bring that up, because obviously you can't talk about Willis without talking about Jermaine Bishop. Dalion Robinson has been outstanding. He's got 17 touchdown receptions on the year, and I think that is the difference from this year to last year. One, I think the defense for Willis is better than they were last year. I think that they can contend with a team like DeSoto that, again, as Ish said, has been more human this year. But I think the dynamics of having multiple weapons on the outside is where it's different, because Jack Emerson has been fantastic. And the fact that he can spread it around to multiple targets, I think the wide receiver depth is there. I think they've got a pretty good rushing attack with Terry Lawrence. This team, especially with that defense, I think you're right.
Yeah. To put a cap on this, I want to read off some numbers, giving Jack Emerson some praise. He's 10 yards away from 3,000 on 75% completion, 37 touchdowns to just 5 interceptions this year. Jermaine Bishop, his number one target, of course, he hasn't cracked 1,100 yards. He has just over 1,000 yards receiving, with Jalen Mickens at just over 800. So like you mentioned, it is a lot more, right? Obviously, he's not Emerson's not the rushing threat that Lagway was, but in terms of the passing game, they have not taken a step back.
No, they've been fantastic, and it's time to start talking about Willis in very serious terms. 10-0 is 10-0, and they are a real threat in Region 2.
Yeah, if they could go all the way, the Trent Miller statue is inevitable there in Willis. All right, we have finished our 2 Thursday night action games. Let's go ahead, and after the break, we will get to the bevy of Friday night games. But before we do that, guys, it is time for the Texas State Technical College Technical Play of the Week. This one we had live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live last week. One of the most insane, crucial catches that we have seen all season long. This call by Gavin Moritz as Cameron Smith does the unthinkable for Galena Park North Shore. We'll see you after the break.
Here's Bailey, 23 seconds. Bailey heaves it, juggled, and caught down to the 5. Unreal! It's Cameron Smith.
Clock stops so they can move the markers.
15 seconds. Now they're going to...
Takis is the presenting sponsor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Sustainability Champions Award, spotlighting influential kids looking to pursue a career focused on social, environmental, and economic well-being for our future. Be sure to check out this week's Spotlight Game of the Week, where we'll be spotlighting 2 Sustainability Champions Award winners. Thank you to Takis for your support of the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Sustainability Champions Award. For more information, visit texasfootball.com.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football is proud to partner with Sport Tyler to award the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose National Player of the Week, which recognizes the top offensive player in Division I college football, who also exhibits the enduring characteristics that define Earl Campbell: integrity, performance, teamwork, sportsmanship, drive, community, and tenacity. It all leads up to the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award, announced in January. Congratulations to this week's winner of the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose National Player of the Week. For more information, visit earlcampbellaward.com.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Higginbotham have teamed up to find the most driven team in Texas. This fall, 10 finalists will be highlighted throughout the season, with one student athlete from each team receiving the Most Driven Scholar Athlete Award for their leadership in the classroom, along with $1,000 in tuition assistance. In November, all 10 communities will rally to vote on TexasFootball.com, competing for the title of the most driven team in Texas. The school that rallies the most online votes will receive a $10,000 donation to their school, thanks to the support of Higginbotham. To learn more, visit TexasFootball.com/mostdriventeam.
Hey DFW residents, get your grocery essentials in minutes, not hours or days, with Wing Drone Delivery. Forget about last-minute trips to the store when you need things like cereal for breakfast before school, medicine for a cold, or snacks for a movie night. Wings drones get you quick, no-contact delivery in as fast as 15 minutes. Say goodbye to last-minute grocery runs and say hello to more of your valuable time. Sign up today.
It's Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight. It is a Week 10 party as we welcome you back into the studios at the University of North Texas. Guys, tons of games happening. Not only the ones that we're going to be showing you tonight, but a bevy of them happening on TexanLive.com. So we want to go ahead and get you to scan this QR code. It'll take you to TexanLive.com/subscribe. Once you do that, you can watch all of the games that Texan Live has to offer. Not only, guys, regular season games, but did you know we show hundreds of live playoff games on Dave Campbell's Texan Live?
There's no way that's correct.
It is so correct. Scan that QR code.
Really?
And you can see that's correct.
But it's just football, though.
No! It's every single sport that the UIL offers.
Well, if that's the case, we should be doing something to probably hype that up, right?
We should.
Okay, but like the thing that people love most is football playoffs, though, right?
This is true.
That's why we're all going to take the month off, starting next Saturday, right?
Well, you might be doing that, but I can tell you what the rest of us are going to be doing and what the rest of our viewers are going to be doing.
What's that?
They're going to be tuning in for the very special edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight next Saturday night, November 9th at 10:30 p.m. live from the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Studios. Guys, we are doing our first playoff bracket reveal show. All 12 brackets brought to you the moment they are done. This is the exclusive reveal of those brackets. The only place you can find all 12 of them. TexanLive.com, wherever you're watching this show now. Are y'all stinking hyped, or am I the only one?
When were you going to tell me about this?
You're on the graphics, so you're working it, buddy.
Oh my God!
You're first build, buddy.
I was going to say, like, wow, this is news to me. I guess I better clear my calendar for next Saturday.
You should. Everybody should.
I'm missing a state champs concert next Saturday. So don't ever say that I don't love doing this.
The man loves pop punk, but he loves Texas high school football more. And especially, look, People love brackets. That's something that we know about, and so we want to do it up big. And this is the exclusive reveal of the UIL Texas High School Football Playoff brackets. We'll be showing you every matchup of every bracket, from 6A Division I to 1A Division II. It's going to be a lot of fun. 10:30 p.m. wherever you're watching this right now. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and TexanLive.com. You can watch them all sorts of places. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, dude, I'm so hyped.
Very pumped.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
So
it's going to
hyped.
be great. It's also going to be extremely easy production lift, like just just a small amount of extra work.
Just turn on the camera and go.
Just absolutely.
Yep.
That's how it goes. No, we're really fired up. Really fired up for the 10:30 next Saturday, the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight playoff bracket reveal show from the Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Your eye is twitching.
I'm the producer for that show. Speaking of production lift, our incredible students here at the University of North Texas helping you bring you all the action for tonight. But Mallory Hartley, our producer, screaming in my ear saying, let's head on over to 1A Division II scores. Taking a look at the 6-man ranks here. Richland and Rochelle in a tight one there.
Yeah, absolutely. Richland Springs and Rochelle is probably the game of the night. It's a district championship game down there, and for Richland Springs, it feels like, they feel like they're on the short list of teams that can play for 1A Division II state championship. They, if they can get this win tonight, they will clinch really the district championship and look like the team to beat alongside with Oglesby. Motley County and Paducah doing battle tonight. Benjamin up big on Kroll. Whit Harrell up on Anton. Zephyr all over Sydney tonight, and Three-Way down right now to Chillicothe, but it's hard to keep Three-Way down. They're the ground and pound offense that they have is just really hard to deal with. Keep an eye on Three-Way. They have been absolutely fantastic. Get some good film on that. Let's go to 1A Division I. Scan that QR code up there in the top right. Go to texasfootball.com/scores. Gordon, the number 1 team in 1A Division I, looking to go wire to wire. They're up 22-0 on Baird. The Antelopes of Whiteface, the team that I think, if you go to texasfootball.com, I wrote a piece today, I think Whiteface is going to play for a state championship. They're up on O'Donnell tonight, the Screaming Eagles of O'Donnell. Jonesboro all over Santa Ana, Abbott and Penelope. Keep an eye on Abbott. They've got a big game next week against Aquila, which is going to be for the district championship. May all over Lomita. And Happy did beat Hart. They did not beat them 1-0. It is impossible to have a rouge in Texas high school football, but that is a forfeit. I believe the Longhorns were unable to field a team tonight, and so Happy gets a forfeit win. Of
I like
course,
you knew the technical term for that, the rouge.
The rouge, there you go, yeah. Scan that QR code in the top right, texasfootball.com/scores. You can check on if Three-Way comes back to win that one.
Interested to see that. All right, as we head on now to our favorite thing, the reason you come to Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight, guys, it is the Quad Box.
Yeah, but we're one of them. Little Cypress, Mauriceville, and Huffman Hargrave is a game we're going to be keeping our eye on all night long. That game down there in Southeast Texas. Orangefield taking on East Chambers in live action tonight down there in Chambers County. Big game between the Bobcats and the Buccaneers. And then up there in the top right, Denton Guyer and Louisville. We talked about that as being one of our spotlight games. Of course, you can watch all these games live in their entirety at TexanLive.com.
It's like Guyer got on the board. It was 21-3 Louisville, which was a big deficit for Guyer.
So this is one
the ball
thing
back.
that I'm interested in.
Yep.
Is for Guyer, their A team is Temple and Copper's Cove. You keep an eye on Blue Front Whiteback Magic. Louisville is taking advantage of, I think, a Guyer team
East
that,
Chambers.
remember, they've had some inconsistency offensively. That's been the big issue for Guyer. When their offense has been rolling, they've been really fun to watch.
Yeah.
But it's just not been consistent enough for them, and that to me has been more or less, I don't want to say their downfall, because look, they're going to make they're going to be the number 1 Division II seed out of their district. They've basically done the best that they could. But it's my concern for them heading into the playoffs because their offense has just been hit and miss this year.
Yeah, and when their defense isn't as shut down as it has been in maybe years past, right? You know you're going to need, like against Campbell, for example, right? They had a shootout on their hands and they could not keep pace.
Well, but that is as detrimental as the inconsistency has been for Guyer, that also as a fan, I know Reed Heim is not going to like me saying this, as a fan, it's been really fun to keep watching because they get down 21-3 and you're like, oh, all it takes is a couple of big pass plays from Kevin Sperry and they're right back into this game. So from a coaching perspective, not something you want to see from from a just neutral fans perspective, they keep it interesting.
I will say they've really started to lean more on the ground game because I think that part of that inconsistency has been Kevin Sperry throwing the ball, but running the ball, he's been fine. I think he's averaging almost 6 yards a carry. Of course, him and Sterling Schneider, they're almost 800 yards rushing. So it's been, they've found their kind of their thing to lean on offense when they maybe aren't hitting big plays, something that can just move the chains and sustain drives is that running game. And as we see there, I think
it's free play here.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe get a free play as Sperry just chucks it deep. And maybe a deep. No, that's not interference. Okay.
The thing about this that is interesting to me in this matchup is when Geyer has the ball, this is a matchup of units that have, I think, been a cause of their coaches like losing sleep. Because Louisville, their defense at times has been great, and at other times they've given up 55 to Campbell. They've given up 42 to Rockwall, right? They've given up 32 to Byron Nelson. Their defense has not been consistent as consistent as they would like it to, as Michael Odell would like it to be. And the same thing goes, obviously, for Geyer's offense, as we've mentioned. The other side of the ball is very interesting, though, especially because you've got that big offensive line for Louisville and how well they match up against this Geyer front. That's the real strength-on-strength matchup in this game. I'm really interested in the trench play on the other side.
You look at Kyron Haywood, of course, on that defensive side for Den Geyer, Ryder Garcia, averaging both double digits tackles for loss this year. Or excuse me, they have double-digit tackles for loss this year. I believe Ryder Garcia has about 7 sacks on the year. So like you mentioned, that's going to be another big matchup in this one as well.
Well, and this one's another one of those. We've talked a lot about district play. When you take a look at District 5 6A, this is not for the district championship.
Right.
As much as Tepper loves these words coming out of my mouth right now, Campbell all but assuredly should win this district. Here's where this gets interesting, because obviously you're playing for second place here. That being said, both of these teams, if you are new to Texas high school football, every classification is broke up into 2 divisions from 1A to 5A. It's not until the playoffs that 6A gets split up into 2. And it's based off of enrollment. So the top 2 highest enrollments go to Division 1 and the bottom 2 go to Division 2. With this, Campbell will absolutely go to Division 1. Louisville would also go to Division 1, and Denton Geyer, being the second smallest school enrollment-wise in this, would send them D2. So Geyer really wants to get that second spot and be the top team in Division 2 coming out of this district so they can host a home playoff game.
And let me go a step further here. If they lose this game, you may say, oh, well, they're still the top seed in Division 2. It is, the home field rule is not based on what seed you are. It is based on your district finish. So let's just say that Denton Geyer loses this game and finishes 3rd in district. The team that they are most likely to play in the first round of the playoffs is McKinney. McKinney plays Plano East tonight. If they beat Plano East, they're probably going to finish 3rd, which would mean neither team gets a home field advantage. They would have to find a neutral site, or they have to agree to a site there. And so a lot on the line here, a lot of moving parts. We're going to try to keep you covered every step of the way on TexasFootball.com. But the tiebreakers, let me just also get this out of the way. As you see Pflugerville out with a nice run there. We will keep you as posted on this as we can, but each district draws up their own district tiebreaker, and it drives me nuts. So
we're talking like coin flips at the local Whataburger, okay?
Point differential, common opponent,
like
margin of victory.
It's all different. Every single one of them.
Normally we will say, so this is where I was going to segue into this, because there's 2 teams on that graphic of District 5 that are going to be playing for a playoff spot, and that's the 2 Flower Mound schools. Flower Mound and Marcus. Flower Mound could miss the playoffs by literally 1 point because they lost to Marcus 33-32. They have, I believe, both Little Elm. Marcus is playing Little Elm. They're beating them. And I think they have Hebron next week. Flower Mound has Hebron next week. I think Marcus has Campbell or something like that. So let's say they both lose to Campbell because Flower Mound has Campbell today. That's his common opponent. They have the head-to-head. Marcus wins. Marcus probably gets in at that point. But again, that goes to show you the tiebreakers. Usually it's head-to-head, one, right? The first one is head-to-head, and in that case, that would be the decider, the mound. What's that called, the Mound Showdown?
Mound Showdown.
Mound Showdown. Maybe the deciding factor in that race right there, as we see,
Jasper
Goodness
gracious. That is a big. By the way, this is another one, another big game meeting for
Texas.
Jasper.
Yeah.
They need this one because this is a Jasper team that could miss the postseason.
Yeah, this game down there in Southeast Texas, Jasper's had a real up and down year. They're sitting at 3-5. I think this is a weird thing to say. I think they're a good 3-5 team. Like their losses are to Chapel Hill, a 5A Beaumont United team, Carthage, West Orange Stark, and Hampshire Finette.
Yeah.
But you don't want to mess around with this. If you lose this game, then you're suddenly, they're probably going to be okay because they have the head-to-head against Shepherd. But you never know, and you don't want to leave it up to that as the extra point is going to be blocked.
A flag.
Okay, yeah, you can't. Of course they blocked it. They're on the other side.
He might have gotten a little bit of a head start.
They pulled the Madden thing that I like to do, which is run around and stand right in front of the kid. Stuff like that. As Fluger.
Weston Nielsen.
Wow.
Oh, what a dot. Oh, my goodness.
Wow. Big throw there. Bastrop getting on the board there. So Jasper out to a 13-7 lead on Silsbee. Silsbee's been another team that's been up and down. That district's really good, but they have, between West Orange Stark, Hampshire, Finette, they've got 2 losses on the year in district, and then they also have that loss to Hitchcock. When they've, it's one of those things, I don't know if they have a great, actually, no, I do know they have a great win, because they have a win over Nederland. That
is a good point, yeah.
That is suddenly an excellent win there for Silsbee. But you want to put this one in the back pocket here, because if they lose this game, then they're going into a game in week 11 with Shepherd, which is winning in. And look, they're going to be favored over Shepherd, but you don't want to be in that situation, plain and simple. You see Pflugerville closing the gap there.
Bastrop right now 24-7 after that dot from Weston Nielsen. I mentioned him a little bit. 2027, by the way, we'll be talking about that 2027 class.
Oh my goodness, there goes Little
Cypress quarterbacks as we see LCM here trying to get things done. Okay, all right. Let's pick things up here. We have some action going on all over the slate. Wrapping up my thoughts real quick on Bastrop. If they hold on to this 24-7 right now, I mentioned it. District title game against Liberty Hill next week. Liberty Hill has Crockett, who they're heavily favored against. Should handle business on there. That's going to be massive, because I was looking this up. The last time Bastrop has been in a situation like this, this, I think it was 20. They're looking for 7 wins for the first time since 2015.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, and Jake Griedel's done an incredible job there, now building this team up. And again, with a sophomore quarterback, they're going to be around this district championship scene for the next couple years. There are very experienced skill positions, but with Nielsen, you can kind of just take what you get as far as that goes.
And that's a Bastrop team that has a really good defense this year. I mean, not only can they put up offensive points, but when you look at what they've been able to do, I mean, they're outscoring people 69-6, 67-21, 70-0. I mean, those are teams that you're going out against and going, hey, your defense is out on the field a lot. So to go into a game with a district championship on the line potentially against Liberty Hill, who we know loves points, you want to talk about a pointsy affair on that one, and I think their defense might be better than Liberty Hill's.
A note on Pflugerville real quick before we move on to Georgetown, really putting it on Lake Belton. A word on Pflugerville. So fans of the show Friday Night Lights may remember that those are the uniforms that they wore at East Dillon. They just they shot it all at the field. They shot in Pflugerville and stuff like that.
By the way, not the Puff Field. It was Panther Stadium.
Panther Stadium, you're right. Thank you.
Not as puffun.
This always drove me nuts in that show. So the name of the town was Dillon, but they're the Dillon Panthers. So why would you have P on your helmet?
Yeah, that always bothered me too. That was very much. We had a lot of.
Was
that a pick?
That was a pick there for Orangefield in the red zone. They're in the end zone.
Not to mention the coach's name is Charles Taylor, right? Isn't that Coach Taylor?
Yeah,
that's also the Friday Night Lights.
Yeah. But no, I'm just saying. Imagine. I want you to imagine if Louisville had
a giant
F on their helmet.
Double F, the Fighting Farmers. That would actually be pretty sick.
If Llano had the Y on their helmet.
Well, Llano, don't even get me started on that, because we're the Orange Yellow Jackets, so we're about to go down a deep rabbit hole of not making sense.
Okay, but you know why they're the Orange Yellow.
Oh my goodness.
Bastrop.
Oh my goodness. They said we don't like that either.
They have a good defense.
No, this is a very impressive showing from
People
Bastrop.
are finally listening to me.
East Dillon throws an interception there. Anyway, just to close out my thought, that makes me angry, those uniforms.
Do you
but
feel
a great
better
interception
now?
there from Bastrop. I do feel a little bit better. I haven't been on when we've had a Pflugerville game, so I wanted to make this point for 3 years now. Also, you know why Llano's the Orange Yellow Jackets?
Because is it supposed to they get like orange when they're
mad? When they're angry, they turn.
Well,
orange.
the junior high is also the daubers, and mud daubers don't sting. How unthreatening is that?
That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. No, I'm just saying. But like same thing with Rockwall. Rockwall's the yellow jackets. They're orange, right?
Yeah.
But they turn.
Seems
orange.
like a lot of semantics. That's orange. Orangefield is orange.
Okay,
that makes sense.
Okay, but like Georgia Tech's like gold. You know what I mean? They're like gold yellow jackets. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Yeah. We're here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight, discussing the important topics here. Bouncing around Bastrop, looking to take command over Pflugerville.
Oh man, what defense!
Almost dropped it there in between a number of defensive players. We're going to take a quick break here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight. Keep you up to date on the biggest games across the state of Texas. You are watching live whip-around coverage of Texas high school football. Week 10, Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight.
Want to talk Texas high school football with your two favorite dorks? Join television's Greg Tepper and Ashley Gizmo Pickle every Monday and Thursday at noon on TexasFootball.com. Texas Football Today, the flagship program of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. It's the same analysis, insight, review, and preview that you've come to know and love. Talking about Texas high school football and college football all across the Lone Star State.
In a college football world that's increasingly nationalized, Dave Campbell's Texas Football presents The Republic of Football, the only comprehensive podcast on all 13 college teams in Texas. Live every Tuesday at noon on the Dave Campbell's YouTube page, Twitter, Facebook pages, and publishing on Apple Podcasts and Spotify shortly thereafter. Host Ishmael Johnson leads the gang in discussing the biggest college football stories from the state. You get coverage of the SEC, Big 12, ACC, AAC, CUSA, and Sunbelt, but with a little Texas twist. No one has their finger on the pulse like senior college writer MC Mike Craven, staff writer Carter Yates, and everyone's favorite Malpal producer Mallory Hartley. Come spend your lunch break, your car ride, or gym session with the Republic of Football. Live on Tuesdays at noon at TexasFootball.com and published everywhere you get your podcast shortly thereafter.
Are you ready to kick off your Wednesdays with a fresh, fun, and fearless take on football? Tune in to Women Talking Football, hosted by the dynamic duo of Dave Campbell's Texan Live, Ashley Pickle, and Mallory Hartley. Every Wednesday at 12 p.m., join us on TexasFootball.com as we deep dive into every corner of the Lone Star State's football scene. From exclusive insights with coaches' wives to on-the-ground reports from across Texas, we've got the inside scoop you won't get anywhere else. Get ready for a game-changing experience where the ladies bring their A-game and you might just find yourself saying WTF in the best way possible. Women Talking Football, where sports analysis meets sass and expertise. You can't miss it.
Want to go deep on Texas high school football? Check out Tepper and Ishmael, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Each week, Greg Tepper and Matt Stepp take you inside Texas high school football like nobody else, breaking down the biggest games and the biggest storylines from all across the state. Want to know more about Texas high school football than the guy at your water cooler? Go to TexasFootball.com and become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber so you can get Tepper and Ishmael in your podcast feed. Or tune in every Friday at noon at TexasFootball.com for premium insights from Texas high school football experts Matt Stepp and Greg Tepper.
All right, we are back with Week 10 and game action abound. We're going to go ahead and start off here in the DFW. Cedar Hill taking on Mesquite Horn. We've got first half highlights to you. It's Mesquite Horn that'll get us started here. Cassius Pratt, he's going to go ahead and bring that one in. A touchdown for Horn to put them on the board. Then Cedar Hill comes back with a touchdown. Deshaun Reese. Right after that, Jamari Andrews is going to break free in the open field, weave through traffic all the way down. Can he make it? He finds a way to stay up on his feet. What an incredible touchdown on that one. We round it all out here. Mesquite Horn with the pick. And they are on a roll tonight against that one. Let's dive back into some live game action. We take you out here to LCM and Huffman. Hargrave with the ball. Gonna drop that out to his receiver.
Oh, he's loose.
Oh, a little scoot right there.
Oh!
My
Oh,
goodness.
It's Sawyer Jamison who gets loose. Huffman drawing even with Little Cypress Mauriceville. Meanwhile, Silsby
Oh.
off to the races as Silsby.
Look at the lettuce.
A touchdown for Silsby as they draw closer there. Gavin Hayes there, the senior receiver, plunging in, getting in for the touchdown as they are an extra point away from taking the lead back from Jasper. This is, a point on that Little Cypress Mauriceville Huffman Hargrave game. That is a game that we've had our eye on specifically because of the strength-on-strength matchup of the Huffman Hargrave offense up against the Little Cypress Mauriceville defense. And right now, 21-21 obviously, Little Cypress Mauriceville going back and forth, that's probably not where they want to live. They don't want to get into a shootout here with Huffman Hargrave because they're gonna find out exactly what happens when you do that. But that's something to keep an eye on. That's one of those games where I think you could tell me like what the score line is, and I could probably tell you who's winning it. You know what I mean?
All right, as we see Silsby able to do that there. Let's go check out some other scores from across the state. We take you to 2A Division II. Munster and Collinsville, Tep. This was the big one we all had our eyes on, and this is exactly the type of score we expected to see in this one.
Arguably the game of the night here, Collinsville and Munster. Great matchup of young quarterbacks in this one. Specifically, Jackson Jenkins, the sophomore quarterback for Collinsville, has been terrific, and then the junior quarterback for Munster, Kaysen Carney, has been excellent as well. We expect it to be close. It is close, no surprise there. Albany all over the Plowboys of Roscoe. Winthrop up early on Electra. Wellington up on Wheeler there in a big game in the Panhandle for the district championship. Groover all over Farwell, looking to finish, I believe, a 10-0 season. I think they have a week 11 open date. And then Junction, newly ranked, the Eagles of Junction, making us look smart by ranking them. You see the QR code in the top right. Scan that QR code, go to texasfootball.com/scores. And I think we're going to go to 2A Division I scores now. Cooper and Honeygrove is a big game out there in East Texas. Keep an eye on that one. Hamilton continues to roll. They're undefeated, take on Hico. Timpson and Garrison. Garrison, man, Brandon Alvarez is so tired.
That's expert analysis
He's
there.
I'm just telling you, because I've talked with him, he's so tired of losing to Timpson. They have been so close, even during the Terry Bussey years, to beating Timpson. Tonight might be the night. Yeah, exactly right. Tonight might be the night for Garrison. They look like they may be able to take down Timpson. Marlin and Rosebud a lot going at it. Holland up on the Armadillos of San Saba. Armadillos, thank you. And then Beckville getting their wheels back on up against Union Grove. Keep an eye on those games across the state of Texas. Reminder, texasfootball.com/scores is where you can find all the scores. A lot going on here. You see Little Cypress, Mauriceville, and Huffman. That's the game we're kind of spotlighting right now. Orangefield taking it to East Chambers right now. Impressive from the Bobcats, looking to clinch a district championship with a win tonight. And then, what can you say about Bastrop? We talked about it. They've really pulled away from Pflugerville, and for Bastrop, this would be a pretty seismic win, which would set up, against Little Liberty Hill.
I'll say this: this is a Pflugerville team that was within a score of beating Liberty Hill, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that they're doing this right now, as we see a big stop in the backfield, tackle for loss there. Again, I don't know about that flag. I was like, that's definitely going to get flagged immediately.
So, big-time players make big-time celebrations.
And the defensive coordinator
Big
right
Dog
in
was
the
hyped.
face. Yeah, the defensive coordinator right in his face saying, son, you cannot do that specific taunt.
And see, that's the thing that when you start taking a look forward to next week, if Bastrop is able to put the cap on this, that is a Liberty Hill team that is so used to being in that position, being in big-time games, no shortage of fourth or fifth round exit every single year if they don't make it to the state championship. That is something that you have to teach a team that hasn't had 7 wins since 2015 is, guys, this is exciting. You are able to get excited. We're going to go up against some tough competition. Do not lose your head because Liberty Hill will capitalize on it.
They will have the advantage of the big game experience, right? I will say this. Assuming right now I'm going to work under assumption that Bastrop doesn't blow a 24-point lead and they in fact win this game. That would probably set up for Bastrop their biggest game in 15 years.
Yeah.
You probably go back, in 2010 they made it to the 4th round of the playoffs.
Sure.
Probably since they beat Frisco Liberty in the regional semifinals, still up. That would probably be the biggest game there. As
I was about to say, he was not down. Oh, they're going to whistle him down? Ooh, I don't know if he was down.
Rule of cool, rule of cool, rule of cool, rule of cool. By the way, speaking of the rule of cool, last night, speaking of Texas high school football.
Garrett Wilson's
incredible
goodness.
catch.
That catch was insane.
I think we had the same thought of like, you got to count that as a catch because of the rule of cool.
Yeah, like of course I think they did count as a touchdown.
Yeah, they ended up
but
reviewing
like
it.
Regardless,
you shouldn't have to go to review.
Yeah,
you should just be like, that was dope, touchdown. You know what I mean?
It took me back to the state. Well, I posted that on our social channels. The catch against Allen in the state championship game where he like leaps over 2 guys heading out of bounds and he holds it up like as a trophy over the defender. And I was like, this guy just knows how to make insane catches.
So the final point on Bastrop.
Yeah.
Next week at home, an opportunity to win a district championship there at Bastrop Memorial Stadium, welcoming in a team that is no stranger to playing deep in the playoffs in Liberty Hill. I really do think that you could call that the biggest game for Bastrop in 15 years next week. It'll be a huge, huge game there. So keep an eye on that one. Let's go.
I was going to say, that's why you bring in a guy like Jay Greedle, who has experience with Marshall, right? Of course, coaching in big games.
Popping in Silsby
how
here.
about this? Oh, can he in a foot race? Ooh.
What about the shake and bake to get that one?
Jaden Miller gets loose.
What an incredible move to get around that
dance
corner.
on him. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
This is like the night of big celebration.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Great teams dance.
We're going to see Tepper's best celebration dance coming up here later on in the show.
Speaking of celebration, I have something to celebrate.
What?
Let's go to Max Goldsmith Stadium in Louisville. We're pleased to be joined by the Director of Recruiting for Dave Campbell.
There he is, Big Dog.
Greg Powers. Big Dog, good to see you.
Set up the L right for him in the back there.
Let me got the L behind him, but he's only catching W's. I want to ask you about what you've seen in the first half here between Louisville and Geyer, as Louisville has a 21-10 lead at halftime.
Yeah, definitely the Louisville defense was playing really well in that first half. The defensive front really got after quarterback Kevin Sperry for Denton Geyer and set the tone in the first half. To me, that was the reason why they're leading 21-10. But I have to tell you guys, there's something about the feeling in the air tonight. Yesterday was Halloween. 21-10 right now. This thing feels like it could get crazy in the second half. I don't know. There's something in the air tonight. I'm feeling it.
We love a good spooky season. Speaking of spooky, Powers, I want to give you an opportunity to talk about a player that you just named a 5-star for Dave Campbell's Texas football, and that's offensive lineman Michael Fasusi there for Louisville. He is one heck of a player. What have you seen from your newly ranked 5-star?
He's extremely athletic, and what's really cool about tonight's game is that Steve Sarkisian and Chris Gilbert brought in I guess you can call it the hook'em copter in for the game, and then Oklahoma kind of matched that by sending Bill Biedenbow and head coach Brent Venables out to scout Fasusi as well tonight. But they didn't have a chopper, so I think Texas wins in that regard. But he looks the way a 5-star should look. I feel good about making him a 5-star earlier this week.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the highly touted recruiting battle going on there. Of course, seems like battle lines being drawn by both the Texas and Oklahoma staffs. You know, does it have that kind of big game feel about, obviously the helicopter helps seeing that kind of pregame, but does it have that kind of big game feel of like big prospects, big district implications potentially in the environment and kind of the atmosphere there?
Oh, both teams are loaded up with top-tier talent, so it's fun to watch them go to battle each and every rep because the Denton Geyer offensive line has, 3 P4 players on it and gives Fasusi plenty of chances to get after them each and every play. His rivalry with Denton Geyer defensive end Zane Rowe goes back to the Under Armour camp. Side note, he was named as an Under Armour All-America game attendee tonight as well, which was pretty cool for Fasusi. That rivalry was kind of born there, and it's continued over to tonight. Louisville's getting the best of Denton Geyer right now, but we'll see what the second half has in store.
He's Greg Powers, our Director of Recruiting at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScouts. He has fine work at TexasFootball.com. recruiting. It was funny when he said that that Steve Sarkisian and Chris Gilbert flew in on the helicopter. He's like, and then Oklahoma match. I was like, did they bring a hovercraft?
Yeah.
I think
on a drone.
I think we need a Powers helicopter. If you get named a 5-star, then there's a Powers copter that goes, and it's Greb doing the pageant wave.
I'm down with that.
Wait, like he's like leaning out of the helicopter?
Yeah. 5-star.
Yeah.
That's how we announce a 5-star.
Yeah, it's like he lower like they lower him down on
off
a cable
off the ladder
with a crown and stuff like that with 5 stars on it. He's like, "Hello, everybody. Welcome to Max Goldsmith Stadium."
That's why they keep me around. I got the big
Listen,
ideas.
we're ideas people around here. Absolutely. We're bouncing back into high school to game action across the state of Texas. Let's check out Little Cypress, Mauriceville, and Huffman Hargrave. One of the games we've been keeping a close eye on tonight, as Huffman Hargrave dropping back, firing deep into the end zone. Got a man!
Oh, barely got his feet down, but
Touchdown.
he got it.
He taps the toes, and it's a touchdown, a go-ahead touchdown for Huffman Hargrave. I believe that was Nolan Cook hitting his man Curtis Felder for the touchdown as Huffman Hargrave takes the lead there. You see down in Southeast Texas, Silsbee and Jasper. It's a big score there for Huffman Hargrave. That means that they got a stop too, which is in a game that figures to be relatively high scoring.
Yeah.
That is critical for them. So for Little Cypress, Mauriceville, looking to close in on a district championship and looking to finish the regular season undefeated, this is a big step towards that end.
Well, and Nolan Cook as a junior is not scared to sling that rock around, man. Multiple times we've seen just kind of the electricity that he's been playing with for this Huffman team. I'm very, very impressed with what he's looked like this season.
And I'll tell you that Huffman Hargrave looking for just their second undefeated regular season in program history. Did it back in 2019, but they've been playing football since 1970 down there, have the Falcons. Lefty kicker. Yes.
Oh, let's go.
Yes.
Year of special teams.
Let's go. Hold on. Is he barefoot?
No.
Okay.
No,
they're just like
colored.
orange.
Yeah.
Dude,
Okay.
he would have been Mr. Texas Football Player of the Year.
Say.
A lefty with no shoes.
Little
Hammer the vote button.
Like a little toe pokey too with the
anyway,
technique.
Down in Southeast Texas, another game we're
Leave him
keeping an eye on. Silsbee and Jasper in a game of the winner here can clinch a clinch a playoff spot. And the loser's going to enter week 11 with a little work to do. So a lot on the line here. Silsbee clinging to a lead here, but Jasper threatening in the red area.
I believe, let me see, Silsbee has Shepherd next week.
Yes.
Which is also one of the teams
Correct.
in that race, while Jasper has Cleveland Tarkenton, who's the odd team looking out in that district. So, that potentially does, it could potentially, I'm trying to say, what does Shepherd have this week? Shepherd has Hampshire Finette. So that's
they're probably going to lose.
Yeah. So,
respectfully to Shepherd.
So
but that's because Hampshire Finette's really good. It's not anything about Shepherd.
Right. All right, so this one continuing to go on down there in the greater Austin area. Speaking of Central Texas, let's head out to Lake Belton and Georgetown as we are joined by Russell Mabin and Jawar Thompson. Guys, always look forward to having you on the program. What a game you have on your hands here, okay? Georgetown looks like they've come out of the gate and has not left any mercy at all for this Lake Belton squad. What in the world is working for Georgetown?
The better question, Pickle, is what's not working for Georgetown. They have raised their hand and announced themselves as a threat in 5A this year. 51-14, and it's really not as close as the scoreboard might indicate, Pickle.
Oh my gosh. One of the guys I want to ask about in this game is the Georgetown running back Jet Walker. This guy went off last week. Ran for more than 400 yards on like 16 carries. It was an absurd. I thought it was a typo, to be real honest. What have you seen from the junior running back for the Eagles tonight?
Okay, well, listen to this typo. 16 carries, 181 yards, and 4 touchdowns in the first half.
Okay.
You know, the opening word was mercy. He's not showing any mercy on the field tonight.
He was the Built for Tough Player of the Week in the state last week. He wants to be it again this week.
He won 2 forwards.
And this is, I should mention, this is a Lake Belton defense that has played pretty well this season. 15 sacks on the year. This is a team that knows how to generate some momentum. What has Georgetown just like neutralized on that side of the ball that's made this defense really struggle to stop anything?
Well, what they've done is they've been explosive, big plays, and they also kept the defense off balance. What they've been doing on first down, when you got a guy like Jet Walker back there and you thinking they're going to run the ball, they've been throwing it on first down, and not only throwing it, but throwing it deep and connecting. So that's how they've been keeping the Broncos defense off balance.
It is Russell and Jay. They've got the best shirts in the game. I got to get me one of those. Guys, appreciate y'all hopping on and keep the party going down there. Man, I love those two. But, I mean, just absolute domination by Georgetown.
Jet Walker is the hottest player in Texas right now.
Has to be.
Yeah. Like, I mean, in his last, his last 6 quarters of play, he's run for almost 600 yards on like 32 carries. Like
the math do be mathing.
Absolute outrageous behavior from Jet Walker at Georgetown. And you want to talk about, coaches will tell you, you want to be playing your best football late in the season, like as you're ready to the playoffs. Georgetown hasn't always been smooth sailing.
Yep.
But I think there's no doubt that they're playing their best ball right now.
They can have a chance to win a district title not only this week, but they get Cedar Park, who's the team they'll be tied for in first next week as in the season finale. This Lake Belton team, I mentioned their defense. 21 points given up, 15 points given up. They had one shootout against Leander Glenn, which is still one where they gave 41. But that's it. They are not a team that gets blown out or just completely punked like this. So like you mentioned, this is a very, very much a come-out performance from Georgetown. A program that's always been kind of around, but really hasn't really cemented themselves in the past, I'd say about 10 years or so as like an upper echelon Central Texas team. And it looks like they're trying to get back to that point.
When did they play for a title? They played for a title.
It was longer than 10 years ago, I feel like.
Let me
but
see.
it's been kind of like a middling, like second round.
2012. Yeah. They
so,
lost to Denton Geyer in 2012. That was.
And they're trying to get back to those standards because that is
Gerard Hurd.
Oh, that was Gerard Hurd team. Man.
How about that? The Austin, Texas guy that stayed down there. All right. Well, we hope that we know that this time of year is like, you know, the Zach Galifianakis meme where it's all of the math and all that stuff going around the head. That is exactly what this is. And that's why we hope that you are enjoying Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight as we tell you all of the district states across the state and look forward to not only this week, but also next week as well as we round out the regular season. All right, a ton more highlights coming up after the break. Stay with us here and we'll be right back on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Texas Army National Guard are honored to present the Coach of the Week Award, celebrating one head coach in 7 different classifications. That's 6A all the way down to 6-man, and of course, private school every single week. Think your head coach deserves some recognition? Nominate them under our weekly Twitter and Facebook post. Those will come out Friday at 10:30 p.m., Saturday 8:30 p.m., and Sunday at 6:30 p.m. That's facebook.com/Dave Campbell's or at DCTF on Twitter. Thank you to Texas Army National Guard for helping spotlight the hard work and dedication of high school head coaches across Texas.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Ozarka will announce 7 Team of the Week winners for 14 weeks of the Texas high school football season from Class 6A down to 6-man and including private schools. Head to TexasFootball.com, go to the Awards tab, and find Ozarka Team of the Week to see this season's winners and vote for your program to be named. Winners are announced every Wednesday on Twitter and Facebook.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Panini America are teaming up this season to honor the best high school quarterbacks across the state of Texas. 7 quarterbacks, 1 in each classification, 1A through 6A in private schools, will be named Quarterback of the Week and will receive a virtual Panini America trading card to commemorate their performance. Check out which outstanding quarterback was selected each Tuesday morning on the Dave Campbell's Twitter and Facebook pages.
Your power is unstoppable. And with us cheering you on, there's no limit to where it can take you. Baylor Scott and White Health, the power to live better.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Wing have selected 64 high schools in DFW to take part in a head-to-head online bracket challenge, showing their school pride and community spirit during the 2024 Texas high school football season. The winner will receive a $5,000 donation back to their school. We're currently in the Elite 8, which concludes November 1st. For more information on the challenge, go to texasfootball.com/most-spirited-school-challenge.
Texas football tonight. We're getting some first half highlights in. How about let's go to the Houston area. Humble, Summer Creek, and Kingwood taking on each other. Let's start here in the first quarter, I should say. As we jump here, this is going to be Blake Thomas from Summer Creek looking deep to the left side. He's got Benny Easter behind his man all the way. Summer Creek Bulldogs up on Kingwood early. This is going to be Summer Creek again. Blake Thomas back to pass. Looks deep down the right sideline. This is going to be Holden Miller. What a dot from him. All Summer Creek 14-0. And guess what? Little hint right here. Summer Creek again. Blake Thomas moves out of the pocket to a wide open. What happened to the coverage? Holden Miller just scored. You should keep an eye on that guy. And once again for the half, it is Blake Thomas, this time on an easy screen to Trey Brown, who follows his blockers, makes a move, makes a man miss, crosses over to the middle of the field, tries to get inside, gets to the red zone. It'll be in at 20 as halftime approaches.
Staying in the greater Houston area, it's Huntsville taking on Nederland. That's quarterback Zarian Adolfi going in for that one. Following another Huntsville scoring drive, this is Nederland running back Hubert Thomas. He has been the man for this Bulldog squad as he makes it in the end zone there. Very next drive for Huntsville. Quarterback gonna bust up the middle of the seams, 24 yards out. He is on fire with his legs tonight. Then Nederland back with the ball. Very next play. How about a reverse flea flicker? He puts it up. Hubert Thomas.
Oh.
Right there, he's going to go ahead and take it himself on the trickeration. What a way to get your man the ball, and he makes the Hornets pay. Huntsville looking to extend the lead, and there he goes again. Zarian into the end zone.
Meanwhile, Cy Springs and Waller must-win game for Cy Springs to stay alive in the playoff race, but Waller looking to play spoiler. Tristan Gaines drops back, finds his man Cameron Duchesne for the first lead of the game. Cy Springs looking to answer. This is Tony Tshenge. He's going to look deep, find his man Glenn Mbale, who's going to high step in for the end zone as to tie the game up. Later in the game, Cy Springs down 7, looking to respond. Mbale takes the handoff, and it's going to be punched out here. Fumble, it's a fumble, and it's picked up by Cameron Duchesne. Going to take it all the way back for a fumble 6, and Waller looking to crash Cy Springs' party. Half coming to a close. Cy Springs looking to get in it, and they would cut that lead to a 10-point lead. But Cy Springs down at the half in a game they absolutely must have.
Absolutely. As we welcome in two familiar faces, James Tritley and Ross Levinsky. Welcome in, guys. They're out there at North Crowley and Mansfield. And, guys, Ray Gates' squad came into this one with a 38-3 lead at halftime. What is working for the Panthers?
I mean, what isn't working, Ashley? It's nothing different than what we've seen all season. I expected a little bit more fight from this Tigers team. But North Crowley just proving that they've seen everything they need to see out of the regular season. They're ready for playoffs. I know they've got Crowley next week, but I think they're just ready at this point.
Yeah, you mentioned it. I kind of expected a little bit more from this Mansfield team, of course, with Jacoby Hayes at wide receiver, Braxton Van Cleve at quarterback. I thought the skill position players in particular would be able to make this a little bit of a game early, but it seemed like North Crowley just stamped out whatever fire they had. What are they doing defensively that's kind of keeping that Mansfield offense in check?
Well, more than anything, especially early, Mansfield was really trying to establish the run, trying to get ahead on downs. But each time they found themselves kind of running into a brick wall, North Crowley defensively up front at least was really able to stymie any sort of establishing of the run game. And then that left a lot of third and longs. They punt twice, and next thing you know, they're trailing 14-0. It was just that quick. North Crowley scored their first touchdown 49 seconds into the game. So before they could even blink, they were trailing big. So just really good defensive effort by North Crowley. And then more than anything, shutting down Jacoby Hayes, 1 reception for 4 yards. that's not exactly superstar stats right there.
They are our North Texas dynamic duo, James Stritely and Ross Levinsky. Guys, appreciate you hopping on with us.
James.
Enjoy that second
Bye,
half. Do you feel good about that?
I was just saying bye to my friend.
They are, yeah, okay, that's fine. We celebrate
like
friendship on this.
if we were FaceTiming, right? And like the conversation were to come to an end.
He's on one tonight.
No, I'm just asking a question. Would it be rude if I didn't say bye?
Yes.
Right. So I'm just trying not to be rude.
Ish,
Dave Campbell's Texas
do you have
football
any opinion
tonight.
on North Crowley?
I mean, look, I think we thought they'd be heavily favored, rightfully so, in this game. But I'm just stunned at how they've made this really good Mansfield attack just completely
Look like
ineffective.
nothing.
All right,
Yeah,
all right,
look
all right.
like nothing.
Okay, so North Crowley's going to win this game.
Yes.
Next week, district title game.
Yes.
Crowley and North Crowley.
Yes.
Big rivalry game.
Yes.
I hear our producer, Mallory Hartley, is going to be out there, maybe hopping on the radio call. This is a huge, huge game. One of the biggest games in Crowley ISD history. It's going to be live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live, as you see District 3 6A standings. Crowley's on an open date. They're sitting at home watching this,
Yes.
and
It's
probably
like,
thinking
no.
okay,
Mom, come pick me up. I'm scared.
Chris Jemerson, stop him. Number one
They're
priority.
probably also like me, like, okay, let's see what Mansfield can exploit, maybe one or two plays here. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, never mind.
No way they can. And not to mention, just a really cool coaching matchup between those two. Obviously, Ray Gates coming from Carlos Lynn and in their kind of disciple mentorship there. So
Yeah, that's a good point.
incredibly excited. I have a feeling that one might be a spotlight game.
Now, I do want to make sure we bring this up. Things can shift around a little bit. I'm trying to think. There is not a way, but there is a way that Crowley can go. Is there a way they can go to the Division I bracket? Yes, there is. If Weatherford gets in the playoffs instead of Mansfield Legacy, so there could be playoff implications depending on how things shake out tonight. The chances are, I think that's dangerous for me to do.
I feel
that
I know
Crowley's
we're
going to
using our
Division
therapy
2. We're
words.
doing therapy words. That Crowley's going to the Division 2, so there's likely not to be playoff implications in the North Crowley game next week. But maybe check out TexasFootball.com. We'll keep you posted.
It all depends on if the Kangaroos hop into the playoff talk. But we keep the jokes and the fun. Thank you. Wow, actually credit. We keep the jokes and the fun here as we take a look at some 3A Division II scores across the state of Texas. East Bernard and Vanderbilt Industrial in a low-scoring slug fair there. Toller taking on Brady, 35-14. Plano looking to be the District 13 3A Division I district champions as they are blanking Marion on that one.
By the way, this is a game that I think only sickos like me are going to notice. But Cotulla and Dilley's actually a huge game in District 13 515 3A Division II. It is, I believe, a district championship game. Oh no, if Dilley wins this game, then they will go into their game with Poth next week for a district championship. But that's a huge, huge game, probably for second place in that district. Bells and Leonard are duking it out. And keep an eye on New Diana. That is a team that is very quietly smoking everybody. That's a team to keep an eye on. Scan that QR code out to the top, TexasFootball.com/scores. Take a look at 3A Division I scores. Hitchcock up on Yoakum. One of the questions we had about Hitchcock was how healthy they were going to be coming out of that game last week against Columbus. Columbus is looking healthy, looking to get right. They're taking out some frustration from Hallettsville. They're huge game out there in Texarkana, Liberty Ilo and Jefferson State ranked matchup.
Fairfield and Palestine Westwood, of course. Palestine Westwood was in some,
They've had an eventful 2 weeks.
In the news, of course, playing without head coach Bishop there, who's serving a suspension from the UIL. So again, there is some adversity there. Let's just say that they're dealing with.
But here's the other thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Hitchcock, Columbus, Westwood, and then Franklin down there doing mean things. Cameron, right?
Yes.
All four of those teams are in Region 3. Okay? All four of those teams are going to have to play one another, probably second or third round. In fact, I believe right now we're setting up Columbus and Westwood in the second round of the playoffs.
Stupid.
Franklin, of course, has played in the last 4 state championship games.
Yep.
Hitchcock is the number 3 team in the state. A ton of intrigue in 3A Division I. And by the way, Tatum taking care of White Oak tonight as well. Wow.
It's my favorite classification, always delivering. All right. Speaking of some 3A ball, how about we head out to Southeast Texas as we welcome in our very own Trevor Bullard, who's out there for East Chambers and Orangeville. Trevor, Orangefield going for the outright district championship win, up at halftime right now. What have you seen from the Bobcats, specifically on the offensive side, that looks to be accomplishing that goal of hoisting a gold ball?
Well, it's been a lot of Mason Manning, kind of be expected. When you're a D1 commit at 3A level, you're usually pretty good. But, they got Zach Morrow, their outstanding kind of do-it-all athlete. He had a pick, and then 3 plays later got a 52-yard touchdown. So he's really doing everything. And that was big because East Chambers was driving at the end of the half to potentially tie us up. Morrow gets a pick, 3 plays, boom, and you feel good, especially when you're going to get the ball to start the second half in a minute.
One of the questions we had in this game, Trevor, was how this Orangefield defense is going to be able to handle the running game for East Chambers, a team that's averaging nearly 8 yards per carry on the ground. What have you seen from the Orangefield defense, especially against the run?
They're stopping pretty much everyone, either be Jarrell Smith, Kobe Jones. They really can't get anything going running the ball. I mean, the only threat's been the quarterback and KJ Fontenot. He's had a couple nice runs, had a 40-yarder in that first half that really got him into the red zone to be able to score. But I've really been impressed by Orangefield being able to stop East Chambers' run attack. And I did see on that score, one thing I want to say is interesting. Whoever loses, I saw Fairfield and Palestine Westwood was close. Whoever loses this game gets Fairfield potentially in round 1. So probably don't want to lose this.
Trevor Bullard there at the East Chambers versus Orangefield game. Trevor, appreciate you, buddy. Excited to see how that game finishes out. They're a critical 3A matchup there in Southeast Texas, and we'll be keeping an eye on the happenings down there in Winnie. East Chambers is in Winnie, Texas.
But in Chambers County.
There you go. But it's on the east side of Chambers County.
Could be on the west side.
You don't know that.
Who could ever know? You know what I do know, though?
What's that, Ashley Pickle?
Is that next Friday we're going to be partying on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're going back to back with this, okay? We're partying, and I mean like partying, next Saturday, November 9th. It is the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight playoff bracket reveal show. The first ever playoff bracket reveal show that we have done. All 12 brackets brought to you the moment that they're done, every single classification, with Greg Tepper, Matt Stepp, Ishmael Johnson, Mallory Hartley, Greg Powers, and Carter Yates. The whole crew's going to be there.
It's Selection Saturday.
Yeah.
That's what it is, folks.
At night.
At
Very late at night.
We're going to be partying at night. It's going to be great. 10:30 next Saturday. Set your alarm on your Palm Pilot to watch on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, TexanLive.com, wherever you get your internet shows. The Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight playoff bracket reveal show.
There's no way Palm Pilots have alarms, do they?
Certainly had to, right? Yeah. Now, I never had a Palm Pilot. I am old. I'm the oldest person here by a significant margin. But I never had a Palm Pilot. My dad did, though. I remember him having one.
Oh, okay. We got to call up Mark.
Shout out, Mark.
Shout
out, Mark. He's not watching. He's in Italy. Hi, Dad.
He could be watching in Italy.
That'd be awesome.
You can watch on the internet, just like you can watch the playoff bracket reveal show. We hope you'll join us next Friday on Texas Football Tonight and next Saturday on the playoff bracket reveal show. All right, guys, we had a really, really cool feature coming up. This one done by our outstanding Dave Campbell's Texas football intern, Mr. Sam Moore. So Sam is a graduate of Plano East High School. And he had a special touch in the Plano East football program. You hear coaches talk all the time about growing young men and growing young women, and it's not only about what they do on the field or in high school, it's about teaching them to be good men, good fathers, good women, good mothers, all of that. And coaches do it better than anyone. So here is our very own Sam Moore with a feature on Plano's East Mentors program.
Coach Collins, it's a pleasure to be here right now. We've known each other for a long time. I played for you for 4 years, but I've known you for a lot longer than that. I think I've known you since I was about 10, 11, coming up in this indoor to summer football camp.
I remember, Sam. You were actually a lot taller back then. You were a very physical kid for your size, man.
We're here today because I want to talk to you about the mentor program that you and Coach Benedetto have kind of founded, and if you would go into kind of what the idea of the program is and what kind of sparked the idea for it.
Gotcha. So first of all, the inception of the deal, the whole process is Coach Benedetto's brainchild. And when I got hired, he had explained what it was, and I was very interested in helping to facilitate it. And so by no means can I take credit for it. I'm just honored to be part of it. But basically what we do is we reach out to just local men, right? And either they have some type of East tie, or they know somebody that we know, whatever the network may be, just really stand-up dudes from all different walks of life and professions. I mean, you're one of them. Obviously, me knowing you, and just
very, very honored that you thought of me to be a mentor.
No doubt. I couldn't think of a more deserving kid. You know, just somebody chases his passions, and that's really what we do with these kids. Is we get people like you in front of them, and we do it on game days. Okay, on a Friday, and we'll have the mentors come in, and Coach B will lead it up and kind of explain the theme of the game or the theme of the day, and then link it somehow to that mentor's personal journey. They'll have a little private time where they share with their groups. We put them in groups of about 3 to 4 athletes. So you as a mentor would have your group of guys, and then we separate you. We'll give a topic for the day. Hey, tell us about some adversity you've been through in your life you had to overcome. So now you mentor your group of athletes, and then we do some type of little game, a little trivia, something fun. We also show highlights from the previous game. And then we're very grateful that each week the mentors would donate breakfast. And you know as well as I do, if you feed somebody, that's one of the greatest symbols of like love.
Yes.
And so that's a great connector for those young men, especially a lot of them that don't eat breakfast.
Yeah.
And so we'll do that. We'll eat, mentor them, play a little game, talk about the previous game, talk about our goals for the next game.
Yeah, awesome. I remember back in when Coach Randy Jackson was here for his 1-year tenure, he had a similar kind of program, but you guys definitely make it your own. And one thing that I can say that my dad was a mentor for that program, and I got really close with, do you remember Anthony Mariello?
I do.
Slot receiver?
I do.
Yeah, and he's someone who's like a big brother to me, and just that bond that we formed when I was in 8th grade is still something that goes on today. And so I just kind of wanted to ask, what would your goal be in terms of the kind of relationships you're hoping to establish with this program?
Well, I would love to, anytime you open that door, it's like almost permission to network. That's one of the cool things about networking. It's all about those genuine discussions and conversations in settings where like you're around like-minded people.
Yes.
So that's the goal. The goal is to put these young men around these really awesome working professional men, but then also to extend something beyond the playing field.
Yeah.
So there's times when the mentor may send the kid tickets to a Cowboy game or to a Ranger game, or just like those genuine connections grow and grow and grow to where you hope that down the line, I have your contact info. I may have a question for you related to my passion, and then there we go.
Yeah. But Coach, it's been a pleasure.
Appreciate your time.
I believe you are not just a great coach, but a great molder of men, and that's something that I really respect about you.
Thank you. It means a lot to me. Appreciate it, Sam.
Love
Proud
you,
of
Coach.
you, dog. Love you too, baby.
Hey, happy Texas High School Coaches Day.
Happy Texas High School Coaches Day, and congratulations to all the coaches throughout the state.
Happy Texas High School Coaches Day, and congrats to all the coaches throughout the state for the well-deserved recognition.
Just want to wish a big happy Texas High School Coaches Day to all the coaches.
Happy Texas High School Coaches Day. You coaches, you don't realize the impact you have on all the student athletes that are participating in sports throughout the state and the country. Thank you for everything you do, and keep up the good work.
I still talk to every single one of my high school basketball coaches to this day. Coach Edub, Coach V, Coach Denning, and Coach Shelf. They had an amazing impact on my life. They really helped me understand not only what it means to be an independent young lady, but how to be a pro and how to be a killer on the court.
winning's always more important than personal stats. Just challenge me every single day to try and get better and to never be satisfied.
My high school coach, Gary Joseph, made a big impact on my life. I think he kind of set the foundation for what it takes to work to get to obviously the next level for me, and then continue through my college career to get to the NFL. But I think laying the foundation for the work ethic, the time it takes, the commitment to the game, I think it was a big part of the foundation, and I owe that a lot to my head coach.
My high school coach, I went to Kingwood High School. While I was there, we had a coach by the name of Kelly Mead. He was there for a long time. The way he coached the game, it was very old school, very, almost kind of like the Cardinals, how they teach things. But, great guy, always pushed me to be the best. He was really tough on me, but, that's just because he cared. He was a big part of my career, 4 years there. We're really kind of 3 with COVID, but every step of the way, he was there, pushed me, wanted me to be great.
Well, honestly, they did a lot. I went to a school in Fort Worth. There's a lot of schools in Fort Worth, but I went to school in Fort Worth, but we weren't pretty much known as a big program, but we carried a lot of weight in Fort Worth. So my coach, they did a great job of keeping us level-headed as kids. They made sure we committed, even if we were in another sport. I was in football, and then I could play basketball. They would still check on me, and it showed that they cared about me.
Hey, how y'all doing? It's DeMarvion Overshawn here, and I want to say happy Texas High School Coaches Day. I had a coach named Coach Irwin back in my high school days that, really shaped me into the young man before I went off to college and helped me become who I am today. So I'm forever grateful and thankful, and I know that relationship will forever carry on. So thank you, Coach Irwin, and have a good season.
I want to thank Coach Josh Fuel for pouring into my life and the countless other student athletes to come through Marcus High School. He truly showed that he cared each day, and that's had a lasting impact on my life and many others.
Thank you to all Texas high school coaches for the positive impact you have on young people every single day.
Thank you to all the Texas high school football coaches for the impact they make on young kids every day.
Thank you, Texas High School Coaches Association, for helping coaches help kids.
Happy Texas High School Coaches Day, and congratulations to all the coaches throughout the state for the well-deserved recognition. And thank you, Texas High School Coaches Association, for your continued mission of helping coaches help kids.
Want to talk Texas high school football with your 2 favorite dorks? Join television's Greg Tepper and Ashley Gizmo Pickle every Monday and Thursday at noon on TexasFootball.com. Texas Football Today, the flagship program of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. It's the same analysis, insight, review, and preview that you've come to know and love, talking about Texas high school football and college football all across the Lone Star State.
In a college football world that's increasingly nationalized, Dave Campbell's Texas Football presents The Republic of Football, the only comprehensive podcast on all 13 college teams in Texas. Live every Tuesday at noon on the Dave Campbell's YouTube page, Twitter, Facebook pages, and publishing on Apple Podcasts and Spotify shortly thereafter. Host Ishmael Johnson leads the gang in discussing the biggest college football stories from the state. You get coverage of the SEC, Big 12, ACC, AAC, CUSA, and Sunbelt, but with a little Texas twist. No one has their finger on the pulse like senior college writer MC Mike Craven, staff writer Carter Yates, and everyone's favorite Malpal producer Mallory Hartley. Come spend your lunch break, your car ride, or gym session with the Republic of Football. Live on Tuesdays at noon at TexasFootball.com and published everywhere you get your podcast shortly thereafter.
Are you ready to kick off your Wednesdays with a fresh, fun, and fearless take on football? Tune in to Women Talking Football, hosted by the dynamic duo of Dave Campbell's Texan Live, Ashley Pickle, and Mallory Hartley. Every Wednesday at 12 p.m., join us on TexasFootball.com as we deep dive into every corner of the Lone Star State's football scene. From exclusive insights with coaches' wives to on-the-ground reports from across Texas, we've got the inside scoop you won't get anywhere else. Get ready for a game-changing experience where the ladies bring their A-game and you might just find yourself saying WTF in the best way possible. Women Talking Football, where sports analysis meets sass and expertise. You can't miss it.
Want to go deep on Texas high school football? Check out Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Each week, Greg Tepper and Matt Stepp take you inside Texas high school football like nobody else, breaking down the biggest games and the biggest storylines from all across the state. Want to know more about Texas high school football than the guy at your water cooler? Go to TexasFootball.com and become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber so you can get Tep and Step in your podcast feed. Or tune in every Friday at noon at TexasFootball.com for premium insights from Texas high school football experts Matt Stepp and Greg Tepper.
Welcome back into Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Tonight, we've got the party lights going. It is the Power Hour here. The best hour of the show, if you asked me.
Probably the best hour of content that we produce at Texas Football, in my opinion.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
We have party lights. How can it not be the best hour?
I mean, he's going to run the whole time, by the way. Probably
Yeah.
not, but
We hope that you are excited to keep the party going here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight as we go ahead and head straight back in to game action as we round out Week 10. Crucial games happening all week or all night tonight. Some even happening tomorrow. And so we're excited to bring that to you.
as we see, it looks like East Chambers, they're getting on the board again on the bottom left there of the quad box against Orangefield. Looked like a one-sided game before that. Mansfield finally trying to make something happen against North Crowley, which is a game that's been completely dominated by Ray Gates' team.
They got another score, so there's a sign of life in the second half.
Speaking of no sign of life, Georgetown and Lake Belton.
That's just an incredible segue.
Listen, I was hoping to see a little bit more of that score. But I made that transition in my mind before I saw the actual score. And I was like, speaking of, and nope, never mind. It's still all Georgetown. I do think that might be the most surprising score of the night. Yeah. Out of all these games, I think North Crowley, if you told me the North Crowley game, the North Crowley score, I wouldn't have been shocked. I would have been disappointed like I am, but not shocked. The Georgetown score is shocking to me.
Yes.
That is one that's, again, these are two teams that are, along with Cedar Park, playing for that district crown. And again, if this is just Georgetown completely hitting a new gear at the right time, I don't know a more impressive showcase right now.
No, this has been, I mean, just utter domination from start to finish. And we knew that Georgetown was seeming to heat up at the right time. Mm-hmm. But to take on a Lake Belton squad that has been right there in the mix of this district, I mean, obviously we've talked a ton this year about Micah Hudson being gone and what happens when you lose the 5-star. Well, they found a way to figure it out. I mean, they have playmakers all over the field that really kind of took it upon themselves to step up. Davion Peters being a huge one. Their freshman running back, Zion Dupree, has been fantastic, averaging over 100 yards per game. You take a look at this district, and it's all right there. I mean, even Cedar Park right on the cusp. Leander has been an impressive squad. Leander Rouse fallen off a little bit from where we're used to seeing them. But Georgetown is 5-0 in district for a reason.
Yeah, they're going to be playing Cedar Park next week. I believe if Cedar Park is up, I believe they're playing Leander. They should be. Well, I don't know. We'll see. I'll check that score. But if both teams hold out and win, that will be for a de facto district champ. Or no, sorry, Georgetown will be a de facto district champion, barring a loss next week, I should say.
Halftime update here. Leander actually took the lead over Cedar Park, 21-17. Okay. The rest of that, Leander Rouse currently up on Eastview, 15-7, and then Glenn absolutely romping Colleen Chaparral, 56-7.
Ooh, okay, man.
But yeah, Leander Cedar Park, another one to keep your eye on in that district.
As we see Geyer, Sperry tried to go deep there. Decent throw, just a good defensive play from Louisville.
Yeah, and that's one of those things when you're down 24-10 at that point, you have to start taking some of those deep shots. Mm-hmm. And if there's one thing about Kevin Sperry, say what you will about his consistency, he is not scared to let a deep ball rip at any point in time. And I think that that's probably a coaching decision made by Reed Heim and his staff of saying, look, we have to show him that we still have trust in him.
That's a good point, especially when the playoffs roll around. You're going to need him to make some big plays like that. You can't have a quarterback shot of confidence.
Exactly, and if you cut him at the legs, especially because we've talked about that a little bit earlier this season too, but I feel like every time that Geyer's been a legitimate state contender, they've always had a very good running back that has helped them get there to really kind of balance out. They always have good quarterbacks, but it gives them that balance. I feel like they're lacking a little bit, and I'm not saying that the running backs aren't elite players, but just from what we've seen in the past in those really, really good Geyer teams, there is a clear difference there. So a lot of pressure is being given to Kevin Sperry.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think he's a big part of the running game. Looks like Mesquite Horn there, stretching their lead on the bottom right. By the way, I should mention, it's not on the screen anymore, but Orangefield immediately responded to East Chambers. And so they immediately increased their lead, or stretched their lead back as we see, Jasper.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Okay, again, this is a massive game out east because, of course, Jasper is on teetering on that edge of potentially not making the playoffs, needing this game. Silsbee in a similar situation. Of course, we talked about big games with Shepherd coming ahead. Hampshire Fannett and West Orange Stark look like they're both kind of running away with that district. And so it is kind of a battle for that 3rd and 4th place spot. This could, unfortunately for a team like Silsbee, who gets Shepherd next week, this could end up being a playoff eliminator potential game, or set up a playoff eliminator next week, I should say, with Shepherd.
It really could. And when, like you said, you mentioned in 9-4A Division II in this district, Hampshire Fannett at a 3-0 district standing right now, Western Stark at a 3-0. They play next week in week 11 for what should be the de facto district championship game. So not only do you have this game being really big for those teams and the next 2 games coming up, you also have what would be that championship winning game happening in week 11. And you want to talk about something that gets me hyped is when the district championship comes down to week 11. That's storybook, movie, Friday Night Lights type of stuff. You can't ask for better than that.
Yeah, we mentioned North Crowley. Crowley is going to be one as well. Of course, the Ray Gates and Carlos Lynn, like you mentioned, their connection. I do love when rivalries like that or have that little extra bit of added motivation.
The panache.
The panache, there you go. There's some
panache and the power hour.
I was about to say some English as a turn of phrase, but obviously I don't think that's actually English. But
well, some words are the same.
As we see Huffman Hargrave here versus LCM again, it's been a little bit back and forth. A lot of pressure here. It's gonna be a lot of time to throw. Whew. That was the hardest gain of 1 I've ever seen on a pass play.
Sometimes you got to try a lot for a little. Still positive momentum, though. All right, speaking of positive momentum, let's go over to some 4A scores across the state. We take a look at 4A Division II, checking out the action there. Wow. Stephenville and Brownwood, one of the most historic rivalry games, now a district game, and Coach Sterling Doty's squad taking it to Sammy Burnett and the Brownwood Lions.
Yep, of course, you have San Antonio Davenport there, all over Canyon Lake. Lindale, hello Lindale, getting a little slugfest there with Longview Pine Trees. Sulphur Springs up on Lake Dallas right now.
The Sand Crabs!
Yeah, how about that over El Campo right now? Number 10 El Campo getting drug into the mud there with the Sand Crabs. And then Tyler, Chapel Hill, and Henderson. I believe a game also on Texan Live if you want to go check that one out.
How about that?
Yeah.
The Port Lavaca Calhoun game is interesting because I believe we talked a lot about earlier about the Pflugerville-Weiss and College Station game being a huge seeding matchup there because College Station would, or Pflugerville-Weiss now likely would have to go on the road and play down in Houston. I believe one of the teams that they could potentially end up against was going to be El Campo. Now, if the Sand Crabs were to get there, everything starts getting crazy. So just keep an eye on that one. All right. 4A D2 now, as that one was 4A Division 1, and this is an absolute shocker.
Graham over Brock, 30. Okay, so we saw the score kind of matriculate in early, Graham up early on this one, and I asked Tepper how many times Brock has not won the district title since they've been around. And I believe this will only be the 3rd time. Brock's not a very old school. And so I believe it'll be only the 3rd time that Brock will not win the district title if this score holds. And of course, if Graham takes care of business next week, win the district title. Actually, no, I think regardless they'll win it because they'll have the head-to-head. So this will be for the district title. And so again, you're looking at, again, over maybe 15-ish years, I believe Brock's been in existence. Only the third time they haven't won district. Stunning.
Not to mention, we talk a lot about Graham's offense, obviously putting up 35 points tonight, but what about that Steers defense?
Yeah.
To hold an electric Brock offense, the second-ranked team in the state, to no points so far. Truly, truly impressive there by the Steers. Looking on again, Midland Greenwood up on Seminole right now. That one a big potential for another state-ranked team to go down. Belleville having no real problem with Madisonville. China Spring and Lorena, a game that usually is one of the most hyped ones in the states. Both trying to kind of find their footing here, but this would be a big win for China Spring and Coach Tyler Beatty if they were able to get that done. Lago Vista obviously up on Geronimo Navarro, and then we've been keeping our eye on Silsbee and Jasper.
I believe this one would technically take Lorena. They would need some help, but this one technically takes Lorena out of the playoff race. They are tied with Gatesville for 1 and 2. I believe they had the head-to-head over Gatesville as well. So this would potentially be, I think they had to win next week as well, but this could potentially be the one that ends Lorena's season, regardless of what happens next week, because they got La Vega next week, which you need to beat La Vega to make the playoffs. Got some bad news for you.
Things aren't looking too much in your favor. All right, so there's some 4A scores. You can scan that QR code at the top. It takes you to texasfootball.com/scores. Every single score of every single high school football game across the state. As we head back into game action, the quad box primed and ready as, let's see, Jasper and that defense celebrating what looked to be a massive sack there on Silsbee. Looks like turnover on downs.
Yeah, I was about to say it might have been a turnover. Let's see, Huffman, hello. Physical run in there from Huffman Hargrave.
I don't think there's been a moment that we've tuned in this Huffman LCM game that Huffman is not just sprinting down the field.
Every play looks insanely hard.
Yes. They're not making it easy on literally anybody.
Yeah.
Big run there from Geyer. Kevin Sperry, I think, keeping that one himself.
And there it goes again. We talk about his inconsistencies throwing, but he has been a very accomplished runner this year. That's kind of another staple. You mentioned the running backs, but it's always been an element of Geyer to have a quarterback who can run as well, right?
Yes.
You look at the Eli Stowers. Even the Jackson Arnolds, like he's known as probably known, I guess, by the wider audience as a
Huffman is doing it again.
Oh my
Good
gosh.
Lord.
Every single, let's see, who was that? That's Sawyer Jamison again. It's either him or Nolan Cook that's just like running insanely hard. As we see a big play there. There's a deep throw for Geyer.
Building confidence in the quarterback.
Yeah, and it's still look, it's only a 2-score game. That's a score and a stop. This defense is good enough to get a stop and get the ball back. If you can punch in the end zone here. This game is not out of reach yet, as we see Huffman Hargrave trying to potentially put a 2-score lead late on LCM. Coach Eric Peavy, of course, they're one of my favorite coaches in the state.
He's good people.
Yeah.
He is good people.
Let's see Nolan Cook hang out to Jamison again, and look, even like the routine tackle is just like he's pulling his shirt because it's so hard.
Crawling on the ground trying to
runner.
get as many yards. But yeah, I mean, you take a look at District 10 of 4A Division 1, and this really is just flat out for what should be the district championship here. Bridge City does play Hargrave next week.
Okay.
They're a 4-1 squad right now, so that one should be decisive. They did lose to LCM already, though.
There's a big touchdown for Geyer to make this a 1-score game.
I'm telling you, I said it earlier in the show. If you're just now joining us, I understand that from a coaching perspective, Geyer's inconsistencies probably makes Reed Heim pull his hair out.
Yes.
As a neutral fan, Geyer has been one of my favorite teams to watch this year because you never know when Sperry's going to hit one of those absolute 40, 50-yard bombs like he just did and completely flip the script on a game that looked like Louisville had it from the very get-go.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's similar to the Alito game as well, where you're just like, oh, there goes Nolan. Oh, my gosh.
Dude. I can't wait to see his stat line after this.
That's so impressive. Physical runner, not a big guy at all, but just an absolute brick house solid running back.
He's absolutely one of those that's like slamming his hands into his head on his helmet before the game, like barking, growling like a dog.
He's the one that will like hit his helmet, or not even when he's wearing his helmet, just like hit his head on somebody else's helmet.
Locker.
Yeah. He's like, let's go, and they'll hit helmets, and the lineman realizes he's not wearing his helmet.
Exactly.
He's like, did you just? He's like, yeah, let's go, man.
The crazy man in the fight. Sometimes you just don't want to deal with them.
That's very. LCM does not want any more of Sawyer Jamison right now.
No, they do not.
Looks to be a 2-score game, and like you said, potentially, I don't say district because you mentioned they get Bridge City next week, and what would be probably a district championship.
Yeah, Bridge City's only loss of the season coming to LCM.
Okay.
Last week actually.
Okay.
So
that'd be an interesting 3-way.
Yes.
See, that's where we mentioned the tiebreakers. That's where one would come into play because obviously the head-to-head, they're all beat each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so if Bridge City wins next week, then we start getting into, point differential and blah, blah.
Yeah, we would legitimately have a 3-way tie, all of which being
4-1 or
5-1
at that point, yeah.
5-1 in district play.
As we see East Chambers trying to cut into this lead again. Orangefield was able to respond immediately after a score. We'll see if they will be able to do it again. East Chambers needs to stop here if they want to make this a game.
All right, so we continue on with Dave Campbell's Texas football tonight, and that means as we take a break from game action here for a second, it is time for one of our all-time favorite segments. It is time. We heard from him earlier, but now he's got even more for you, Ishmael.
Okay.
And that is our very own Greg Powers. In this week's version of the Cruton Corner, we're taking a look at the top 3 highest rated players in the class of 2026. LCM with an instant response real fast before we get to the Cruton Corner.
Oh, man. That'll do.
Talk about a way to answer. My goodness. All right, chaos ensuing in that one. I promise you we'll come right back to it, but we cannot leave the viewers without Greg Powers for any longer. Here's this week's edition of the Cruton Corner.
Thanks for joining me on the Week 10 edition of the Cruton Corner. And I got something special planned for y'all this week. For the first time, we're unveiling the top 3 highest rated players in the class of 2026. A moment you've all been waiting for, I know, pins and needles. At number 1, we're going to Prosper, Texas to talk about offensive lineman Zayden Crimpin. The 6'5", 270-pounder is the state's most offered prospect with over 40 scholarships. Crimpin is an absolute mauler at the point of attack with the versatility to play any position on the line. He's extremely well-rounded as a prospect, equally adept at pass blocking and run blocking. His hands are like bear paws, and he uses them to swipe defensive linemen away with ease. There's no wonder Alabama, Ohio State, Texas, Texas A&M, and more are in hot pursuit of Prosper's next rising star on the offensive front. At number 2, we're going down to Houston to the Legacy School of Sports and Sciences to talk about Houston commit Keyshawn Henderson. We're going to list him as an athlete as it relates to his ranking for now, but this 6'4", 175-pounder has committed to the Cougars to play quarterback. He does have 5-star athleticism to play wide receiver or safety, but don't sleep on his skills under center. He's a better passer and commands more pocket presence than the athlete tag suggests, and he has a calm and commanding presence in the pocket. He may remind some modern college football fans of Jameis Winston, but the kid in me sees Randall Cunningham. That's a blast from the past and one of my all-time favorite players. At number 3, we're going to stick at Houston and we're going to go to Willis to talk about Jermaine Bishop, and you're not going to find a more dynamic Texas high school football player than this kid. He's got that dog in him, as our friend Matt Stepp likes to say. I'm not going to be able to verbalize with my words the skills that he has and do him proper justice, but just pop in his tape and you'll see him playing slot receiver, wide out, safety, cornerback, wildcat quarterback, returning kicks, returning punts. He can do it all. He could play cornerback at the highest level where he brings confidence and tremendous closing speed to the position, but his continued development on the offensive side of the ball has colleges dreaming about Travis Hunter. Could he be college football's next Travis Hunter? Stay tuned, because Willis is going to be making their deep run in the playoffs. That's just my prediction. Lock in every week with us right here on the Cruton Corner. Not only talk about the top prospects in the Lone Star State, but we're talking about the future of college football. Thanks for joining me.
All right, appreciate Greg Powers unveiling the top prospects in the class of 2026. A very fun class, and we're excited to watch those rankings go on. We check back into Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight, bringing you all the best game action, score updates, and everything else across the state of Texas. Ashley Pickle, Ishmael Johnson, appreciate you hopping on with us tonight. All right, Ish, how about we go ahead and get to some highlights? I'll start us off in the Houston area. We've got Katy and Tompkins. Let's check into District 19-6A. Katy has been dominating offensively tonight, and Tremaine Hill continues to be the workhorse that does it all. Next up, quarterback Gunnar Nelson's going to hit Cade McCall on the long touchdown. How about that? Then Katy again continuing to lay it on him. It is fullback. We need more fullbacks in Texas high school football. Joshua Smith gets the ball and runs through the defenders. Katy would continue to add to their lead. It's Tremaine Hill. Incredible work there. Lastly, Katy continuing to be the dominating factor in this one. We welcome you back into the Quad Box. Game action going on. We've got LCM, Little Cypress, Mauriceville, and Huffman Hargrave up there in the top left corner. This one has been back and forth all night. Geyer trying to cut their lead down to Louisville. East Chambers trying to keep their district championship hopes alive against Orangefield, who's trying to solidify their win as district champions. And then Cedar Hill looking like they just got a touchdown right there. So we check back into this one.
Yeah. Looks like Geyer, of course, and Louisville looking like a big defensive drive here for Geyer, needing a big stop here as you see Farmers coming out.
This is going to be one of those crucial ones. If you're Geyer, you have to get this stop right here. Because if not, and you risk putting Louisville back up by another 2 points.
Looks like they sold out for that blitz, and that allowed the screen. I like the aggressiveness from the Geyer defense there because they brought the house, not they didn't bring the house, but they brought a blitz in. But calm, cool, and collected from Louisville was able to get that big gain there as we cut to the announcer audio. So you guys, this drive.
On Trey Williams, and they get the ball into their playmakers' hands in the flat, and Martin does the rest, and Louisville is inside the red zone with 5:12 to go in the ball game.
Barring any lost yardage, Louisville also now in field goal territory. Play clock down under 10 seconds once again. That's been a consistent theme on this drive. They get it off with 3 seconds. Martin fights his way down inside the 15 to the 14. It's another nice gain of 5. DJ Martin has put the team on his back on this drive, and he's continuing to make plays.
And he has, and normally it's Tennell Hill in these kind of situations for Louisville. It just puts that they kind of put the team on his shoulders, and tonight it's been DJ Martin as more of that physical runner that's extended these drives.
Louisville, little urgency on this drive. They continue to let the clock roll intentionally.
Coach Heim of Geyer still with all 3 timeouts left, just keeping him in his pocket for now.
2nd down and 5. Williams goes to DJ Martin, and Martin's going to get chopped down right at the line of scrimmage. Nearly broke the tackle there. That was a rough-looking hit on the lower half of DJ Martin. A nice tackle that time by, I believe that was Matt DeSantis.
Now you're going to see Tennell Hill check back in, a much-deserved break for DJ Martin after the last few carries he's had. And, the clock's getting now under 4 minutes to play, and I'm a little surprised that Geyer hasn't used any of their timeouts. Louisville is in field goal range, but they want to get in the end zone.
5 seconds on the play clock. Louisville's got to get to the line. Trey Williams, 2 seconds. Trey Williams with 1. Louisville's going to have to use their second timeout of the half with 3:43 left to play.
Now, I don't think that's a bad timeout to use for Coach Odell. I mean, he's only got one left now, but you're playing with the lead. They burn as much time off the play clock as possible, and they get to set their offense up.
We'll go ahead and take a short break during this timeout. You're watching a Champion Sports
65 to 40.
Louisville Fighting Farmers football on Dave Campbell.
40-14 Campbell.
There's a time and a place for everything.
As you'll see, projections for the next quarter are...
They are right. There is a time and place for everything, and it's time for game action on Dave Campbell's Texas football. Tonight we check back in with goodness gracious Georgetown. If you weren't on the map beforehand, you sure are now. 65 to 14 over this Lake Belton squad-ish. I don't like to call things too early because then you end up on social media and you get called a fraud and oh, blah, blah, blah. This one is all but assuredly over. Is that too much of a stretch?
No, I don't think it is. I have some bad news as well for Central Texas. Let me just read off some of the roster for Georgetown here. Caleb McDougal, sophomore. Jet Walker, junior. Wide receiver, leading wide receiver, Xavier Warren, junior. This Georgetown team is going to be around for a little bit, y'all.
Yeah, and then their freshman is the one that's like popping off like crazy.
Yeah, this is a breakout performance. We're going to keep hitting that point because this is a team that's going to be around for a couple years at the very least. Jet Walker over 1,500 yards on the year, probably definitely more now after this game, but we're seeing a defense that's absolutely flying around. I think that's probably even the more impressive part of this one is that 14 for Lake Belton, because we know that this offense can move the ball for Brian Cope, so holding them completely in check. Again, led by a lot of juniors, Cole Mitchell, guys like that, guys like Tennyson Dean, some of their leading tacklers. I'm running out of things to say about this Georgetown team other than I cannot wait for next week. Because we talk about district championships and all that stuff. I am so excited to see that Cedar Park game next week now.
And I believe
As
that
you see,
one,
look at this. That looked like that was 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and he just ran through everybody.
And I believe that one will have huge playoff implications too, because likely the winner of that would end up playing Highland Park.
Yes,
I believe in the by-district round.
I believe you are correct.
So that's a kind of you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't kind of situation there.
Yeah.
All right, a couple other scores across the state we want to keep you up with. In the fourth quarter right now, PSJA North and Flower Bluff tied 21-21.
One of only two Battle of Unbeaten teams this week, I should say. That's one, and then San Antonio J and San Antonio Southwest is the other one.
Which had an incredible press box spread.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Christina Huang, who is newly hired for the Express News. Showed the incredible taco game going on down there at Southwest.
Yeah, very, very, very jealous. Byron Nelson went ahead and beat Hearst LD Bell 31-3, and then Wimberley 56-0 over Smithville. I think Wimberley's health is back up to where it needs to be. Okay, checking back in with more scores across the state as we take you to 5A Division II. You can scan that QR code at the top, takes you to texasfootball.com/scores. Michael Terry and Alamo Heights getting it done 39-7 over Kerrville-Tivy. Waco University.
Getting hammered by Brenham. I saw Waco University this year, I was like, I'm very interested, but I want to see them against Brenham. Obviously, Brenham is taking care of business. Hello, Huntsville, after a huge win in the Mid-County Madness last week for Nederland, taking care of a newly ranked Nederland by double-digit scores. Montgomery hanging around with Port Neches Groves. There's a little bit of interesting things going down over there in East Texas. Abilene Wiley on Lubbock Cooper, and Fort Bend Marshall taking care of Texas City.
Well, let's focus in on that District 8 5A Division II for a second. Huntsville, Nederland, Montgomery, Port Neches. As you mentioned, Nederland getting the win over last year's state champion in Port Neches Groves. Big doings.
Yes.
Okay, now you're looking at if Nederland loses this game being at 5-1, if Montgomery wins that game, they're at 5-1. Port Neches is at 4-2. So we're getting into all this stuff, not to mention that with the Nederland win last week over Port Neches, we were looking at the time at a P&G versus SOC area round matchup. if Nederland ended up winning the district. So now Huntsville's coming in swinging
Yeah.
and could throw District 8 5A Division II into this absolute blender that could then be decided in Week 11.
Yeah.
God, I love this time of year.
It's going to be incredible. And by the way, that's another reason why you should turn into next Saturday, the Playoff Bracket Reveal Show, because we will be talking about those potential area rounds, third rounds, fourth round matchups as we reveal the playoff bracket after this is all done. So yes, stick with us as we switch over to 581. Stick with us next Friday on this Texas Football Tonight, and then of course the Bracket Reveal Show on Saturday. Aledo, look, that is a one-loss Azle team that Aledo just punted into the sun.
Oh my, Azle's gonna sleep well tonight.
Yeah,
They're gonna be hurting tomorrow.
Now two-loss Azle team. That is a
Yeah,
team
but still coming into this game, they were fighting for a high seed in that playoff realm because they're in a district with a Denton Ryan team that only had one loss. Azle only had one loss. Richland only had one loss. Chaos. Aledo's good at football. Breaking news. Denton Ryan up on Fort Worth Brewer. PSJ North and Flower Bluff. We told you that one. That one's all knotted up at 21-21. Get your eyes on the ball there. Midlothian and Red Oak in an absolute shootout, going for 86 total points right now. Go Corns, the Unicorns of New Braunfels, taking on Seguin, and then LaPorte and Angleton. That one is very interesting. Again, playoff seeding abound in that one, but knotted up at 28-28. Keep your eye on that one.
One score from 5AD2 we did not talk about that I mentioned to you a little bit. So Prosper, Walnut Grove, and Melissa. Melissa's been on this show a couple times. 31, third quarter, 31-28 Walnut Grove. Why does that matter? Listen, here's something. One of these teams is going to miss the playoffs. One of Melissa, Anna, or Walnut Grove, or Frisco Emerson. One of those teams is going to miss the playoffs because 5-3 Emerson, 5-1 Lovejoy, 5-1 Prosper Walnut Grove, 4-2 Anna, and 4-2 Melissa. That is an insane field. And that is one game that we'll be keeping our eye on the result of, because that could put Melissa in that category of the team that misses out.
If they win, they're able to basically almost win the district championship. If they lose, they're out.
Yeah.
Is that not one of the most insane stats that you ever heard there?
It's
to have
an insane
four
district,
teams that you either win the whole thing or you are literally missing the playoffs based off of one game because everyone is just beating the crap out of each other.
The fact that Anna could win a state championship last year, and then it's on the table that they missed the whole thing.
Wild.
1 year later. I know they moved up in division in classification, but it doesn't matter. They're still a good team that potentially is going to miss out. As we shift over to Huntsville and Nederland, we mentioned one of those teams here, one of those games here where another district that could just be thrown into complete chaos. We thought last week was a coronation of Nederland, right? We ranked them. They knock off P&G. They win the biggest rivalry in the state. Oh my gosh, the Bulldogs are here. And Huntsville's like, guys, we are also here. The Hornets are ready to play. And potentially, I mean, look, I remember when Tepper was leaving, he was like, if Nederland loses the week we finally rank them,
yes,
she's gonna be so upset.
Not to mention Huntsville lost last week by 5 points to Montgomery Lake Creek. Okay, now Lake Creek last year, very good team. This year they've fallen back a little bit. They're 4-4 on the season, 2-3 in district, so they're fighting to even try and get a playoff spot. You go and drop that, and then you
look
beat
at
the
this
team.
run here. That looked like a loss, or maybe a gain of one turns into almost a first down. They may give it to him. Looks like they're giving it to him. Wow. Hard running there from Huntsville trying to grind this game out. Yeah,
this is a blender.
This really is. Because 5-3 Huntsville team, and you mentioned Lake Creek as well. I mean, the team that lost to Lake Creek, as you were mentioning. It's just so many. Oh, hello, Chapel Hill. Welcome to the program.
This is going to be a very, very good win for Chapel Hill if they can continue this out. Henderson is a team that we started the year going, okay, probably middle of the pack in this district, nothing too much to see. And then they started beating people. And I'm talking notable people. They took down Texarkana Liberty Ilu, who has been either a state-ranked team or right on the cusp of a state-ranked team. They beat teams like Kilgore. Okay, 27-24 in a very close one. Took a loss to Longview Pine Tree last week, but a team that can absolutely sneak up on someone. And I will say, I think that loss or that win over Kilgore is what made Tyler Chapel Hill kind of wake up a little bit and was like, okay, we can't say all we have to do is make it past Kilgore, and then we're going to kind of coast into the playoffs.
Right.
So I think that this has helped them on this one, but a really, really good win for Jeff Reardon's Bulldogs squad if they can pull this one out.
I agree, because this is also a team that's been, dealing with the health status of Demetrius Brisbane.
Yes.
Right? He has not been playing. I believe it's been Malik G more or less since he got hurt back in September. And like you mentioned, not only that Kilgore win, that Kilgore loss kind of waking them up, but they played really well against the Longview Pine Tree team last week. I think, like you mentioned, this is a team that needed something, right? Because Ricky Stewart is good enough to be somebody who in November kind of puts the team on his back and gets them further down the road. So they just need to get in the dance. And if they did not get this win, which again, still got to hold on to it, but if they hold on to this win, they're more or less in the dance, and that is something that could not have been said after last week.
Absolutely. Some more scores to go through across the state. Midlothian ends up taking down Red Oak 45-41. Fort Bend Marshall 31-7 over Texas City in the fourth quarter, trying to round that one off for the Buffaloes. Stephenville, end of the third quarter, 41-0.
Oh my goodness.
Against Sammy Burnett's Brownwood squad. Something might be a little bit broken there with the Lions.
Yeah, that was a ranked team at one point this year.
And then the last one being the Woodlands takes down Conroe 21-7, which was a critical District 13 6A matchup. We checked in on Willis earlier with their big win last night over Conroe Grand Oaks. That solidifies them at a 10-0 record, 8-0, gonna win the district championship, all good to go there. Well, the Woodlands and Conroe, this was for that second place finish. And the Woodlands going ahead and pulling that one out against a good Conroe Tigers squad, but to solidify that Willis and the Woodlands finishing 1 and 2, which we figured would be the case.
Sure.
We just didn't know in which order that would be.
I think at one point heading into the Woodlands game, I think they were probably a slight favorite over Willis. Of course, they ended up losing that one, but that was probably, I think at the beginning of the year, you probably would have penciled in the Woodlands as the district champ.
Yes.
But I don't think it's a shock that, 1 and 2 was those teams in some order, as we see LCM trying to get something going here and finding a man over the middle in the traffic there, but somehow found
that was an
completion.
Incredible throw. He had pressure coming from both his side angle and straight in front of his face with that guard getting off the line there, and then to be able to thread the needle like that, very, very impressive throw on that one.
Yeah. As we see, it looks like it's probably the end of the third quarter, or is it timeout there? I can't tell. As we see Henderson trying to generate something, but again, this is the Tyler Chapel Hill team that we wonder, Brisbane, is his status done, or is it more of a postseason? If we make it that far, he'll be able to play, or is he done? Regardless, you just kind of want to see what happens with this team, because this is a team that played for a state championship last year. Then you want to see that senior class go out at least with a puncher's chance.
All right, one more big one to update you as we've covered some of these teams this year as well. The aforementioned spookiest team of the year, Arlington Bowie, is the winner of District 8 6A. They defeat Arlington Lamar, who has had a historic season for them so far, 49-21. A big win for Arlington Bowie, but I mean a shout out to Lamar for the incredible season that they have had, and it's nowhere near being over. Let me make it very clear there.
Yeah, it was more just figuring out the district race at that point for them.
Yes. All right, so there we go, checking in on some game actions. How about we hit you up with some 6A scores as well, as we take a look at 6A scores across the state of Texas.
Looks like Geyer might have gotten something there potentially. We'll turn back to that one in a bit. North Shore all over Sheldon C.E. King. We mentioned the Woodlands. That is a final, I believe, 21-7 over Conroe. Euless Trinity all over Justin Northwest. Cibolo Steel, how about that? Putting complete blanking on New Braunfels Canyon. El Paso Pebble Hills, big game out there in the Sun City, 17-14 over Eastlake. And Friendship taking out Odessa Permian right now. Holden Phillips, one of the quarterback Holden Phillips for Friendship, battling with, I believe, Sawyer Anderson, a parish episcopal, for the leading passer in the state. He's going to have some hefty numbers probably to put up for that one as well.
Week 10, excitement all around as we near the Texas high school football playoffs here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. Back to the quad box we go. We will not gyp you of any game action as we get the flare into the quad box.
Looks like that was Louisville, I should say, on a big stop. Now up 10 with the ball back in the fourth quarter. Looks like this is going to be, for their sake, a long, long, arduous drive to hopefully ice this one away.
Oh, wow. Huge score coming out of District 10 6A. Longview Lobos taking on the North Forney Falcons for what likely would be the district championship. Both 4-0 in district, 6-2 overall, and John King and the Longview Lobos 21-0. The final in that one. The Lobos once again going to be district champions as they face Royce City next week with a 33-point favor, according to our Dave Campbell's computer. So if they don't mess up against Royce City, John King should be back up on top.
I'll say this. At one point, we were wondering if Longview was in for a rough season. They had that blown lead against South Oak Cliff, which ended a pretty long home winning streak, we should mention. Then they lose that weird game, against the Louisiana team the next week, and all of a sudden you're looking at 2-2 Longview, and you're like, what's happening here? They had Rockwall coming up. It's like, Forney coming up after that. And they just righted the ship. They just cleaned house in this district, putting a stamp on it.
Their offense finally got going.
Their offense, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
It was looking inconsistent, which has been a problem the past 2 or 3 years, I would say.
Yeah, even with guys like Jalen Hale, oh my goodness, running back last year, I'm forgetting his name.
Tatum.
Yes, Taylor Tatum. It's been inconsistent outside of those 1 or 2 dynamic players. As we see, it looks like Geyer and Louisville is a final.
Wow.
Titan Farmers pull that one off. I'm going to check the district standings on that one more time. Coppell, of course, pulling away. I believe that is a final with Flower Mound, or at least they were ahead, very much ahead on Flower Mound. So that one may position Louisville now to be that second place team. I believe Coppell will go D2?
Coppell's going D1, and Louisville now will solidify themselves, if everything goes according to plan, next week for Michael Odo's squad as the second team in 6A Division 1. That would then push down Geyer to D2.
Oh, looks like Nederland, Nederland's trying to come back here, drawing a pass interference play. Okay, this one is not over, folks. This one we were talking about earlier. Huntsville trying to throw a wrench in this district and ruin what should be a magical finish to the season for Nederland.
Right.
Nederland trying to come back in this one, only down 1 score.
Well, I mean, we saw them. Okay, so you go back to the Mid-County Madness, and the incredible stat that we always kept throwing out there was that prior to that game, Jeff Joseph was 12-0 in 1-score games. He had never lost at Port Neches Groves in 1-score games until last week. And so you know that Nederland, they got that dog in them, okay? The Bulldogs have got that dog in them. They are not scared for a close game and to try and finish things out as a massive throw comes. Kenny hit his man and tried, and it's picked off! It's picked off by Huntsville! The Hornets defense comes up huge!
Oh, wow. I'm going to see if we can find
Holy
clock
cow!
On that. Oh my goodness. The way he slid, it makes me feel like that's probably...
There's mustard on the lettuce.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. You celebrate, young man.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, the way he slid makes it feel like that's potentially icing the game. So as of 10 minutes ago, there was 5 minutes left. So I feel like that's going to ice the game there. That is insane.
All right, let's go ahead and head out to announcer audio to hear what this call is.
Buddy, over yonder in PNG is looking at this score and going, hey, we got a chance to win the district now.
time I start walking, the park's gonna have to.
So victory formation, no timeouts for Needleton. They can't stop the clock. So Needleton.
How about that? A week after getting a Mid-County Madness victory over the reigning 5A Division II state champions, and just the following week, Huntsville finds a way on an incredible game-winning interception to put this one to bed as they will kneel out the clock and now throw this district into absolute pandemonium when it comes to the rankings of trying to figure out who in the world's going to finish out on top in District 8 5A Division II.
Yeah, because all of a sudden you have P&G, who's back in, as we see.
Oh,
Hello!
Silsby!
Oh, my goodness. Hello, Silsby. Oh, my.
Snip, snap, snip, snap. No idea the effect this has on a commentator.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, we're ending very wildly here. So, first of all, let me wrap up what we were talking about with Nederland and PNG before we get on this game now. So, yes, like you mentioned, Nederland had the district in their hands, right? If they won this week, obviously big game next week against Montgomery. But now that brings Montgomery into the mix now. That brings PNG back into the mix now. So, if PNG wins next week and Montgomery wins, I think that would give PNG the district title because they have to head-to-head over Montgomery. And so, after all that, right? Of course, PNG has to still win. I think they have Dayton, which isn't going to be which is a tough game in and of itself. I think that might be for a playoff spot potentially. We'll see for Dayton. So again, this district isn't far from settled. I think the easiest thing you could say, as far as who could probably have the easiest path, PNG wins, Montgomery wins. I think PNG wins the district. I think that's probably the easiest.
But this is Nederland's first district loss, so then they would have the head-to-head over PNG. So I think it would be a three-way tie.
Would it? No, because I'm saying if because they play Montgomery.
Gotcha.
So
gotcha.
if Montgomery
wins, correct.
Montgomery beats Nederland, PNG would have the head-to-head over Montgomery. And so, but again, regardless, PNG has Dayton, who's also still, I think, technically in the playoff race. So that's not going to be an easy win. Yeah, this loss is seismic.
Welcome to the best time of the year, folks.
Yes. Now, as of course, we can transition over to the Silsby-Jasper game. Which
can I give you two quick score updates? Because we are firing off here. Overtime in Decatur for potentially the District 5 4A Division I championship. Springtown and Decatur knotted up at 28-28 going into overtime. Another overtime game. PSJA North and Flower Bluff still knotted up at 21-21. They're heading into overtime as well.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, take a break. LCM Huffman.
Did Silsby just get the ball back? I think Silsby just turned the ball over. Or Silsby just recovered a turnover. Oh my goodness, they did.
Holy cow.
What?
In the red zone.
What is happening right now?
What an incredible defensive battle.
What? Was that on the ensuing kick? Oh my gosh.
Let's go ahead and head out to announcer audio on this one.
Didn't want to catch it. Neither one of them, yeah. So one took off the block. Just some miscommunication. But a break for the Tigers. There's a special teams miscue. Yeah, they got Johnson on man coverage out here. Moses is going to keep it himself. Stiff arms there on the right side. He's going to go down inside the 15, out of bounds at the 12. That's a 9-yard rush. As I'm with you. I probably wouldn't have wanted to run out of bounds.
Yeah,
so
keep that clock running for sure.
Tigers looking to stretch their lead back out to 9 after going down by 2 or 5, excuse me.
Yeah, 5.
So, a 14-point turnaround here quick as possible for the Tigers as we're under 9 minutes in the fourth quarter. And you got Johnson on I formation. Moses is going to keep it off the left side himself. Going to push forward. I think that's going to be a first down, looks like.
Man, they got to blow them whistles a little quicker. Yeah, first down.
That'll keep the clock running once they set the ball.
10 seconds ago.
They're at the 10. It's going to be 1st and 10
do it again.
I don't believe it's for us.
No, I had to throw one in there.
Yeah, 1st and 10 from the 11. So Tigers can get a first down without scoring. As we're 8.5 minutes. As they'll stay in the shotgun. They bring in 2 tight ends here. That's a power formation here. They'll hand the ball off to Gary Farr off the right side. Cuts back up the middle, power forward. He's going to be inside the 5.
Man, I thought that was him going into the end zone.
And that's big Kyle Walker that was pulling. Got him some meat over there.
Is that him?
That was Kyle Walker. He was a tight end. Yeah, he came in as a tight end. Got a little action over there. I think he likes to run block.
I think whoever he just rolled up don't.
That's almost a 6-yard gain.
2nd down 4. Tigers.
2nd 4 from the 5-yard line.
He's got one proud grandmother. I was talking to her before the game. She said he's doing a real fine job. Got him some looks, some visits going on.
Yeah, Jaden Miller out here by himself as they'll put 10 in the box. They're going to hand the ball off. That's going to be, I believe, offsides or false start, excuse me. Yep. Tigers are shooting themselves in the foot here. They'll back up. That'll be 2nd and 10 or 2nd and 9.
False start from 11. 5 yards. Still 2nd out.
See Johnson showing a little bit of leadership, right? Getting them all to calm down a little bit. Relax.
We talked about that on the ride up.
Yeah, somebody has got to, accept that role, right, and start going. And tonight, I like what I see from Mosier and Johnson tonight. So
they're not giving up. They're punching back when they get punched.
2nd 9, Miller's in motion. Another step, flips to the corner, wide open. Is that a touchdown, Tigers?
Yes.
Yep. And what a grab as Jaden Miller goes up and gets his own in the corner.
2 defenders.
As Mosier was in dire straits, had to get rid of it.
Touchdown Tigers, that's number 10.
And the passing touchdowns. Wow.
Oh my!
Wow!
God. Mosier just threw that up. He literally he was under pressure and just threw up a prayer into almost basically like double
coverage. What an incredible job by the receiver to pull that one down. Appreciate the fantastic call there too from our buddies at Southeast Texas Radio and their friend Critter, man. We love listening to those guys call some Silsbee Tiger football game. An incredible throw there. This is why you come to Dave Campbell's Texas football tonight, man. An insane night of games.
Yeah, I mean, coming off of last week, obviously we built up last week to be what it was, and it lived up to a lot of the hype.
Mm-hmm.
You could have expected very much a hangover, right? Like, this is not a great slate. Next week's the week we're trying to get to, right? Final week of the regular season. You see stuff like this where, yes, it's building up to next week, but we're showing how chaotic this thing is going to be down the stretch because of week 10.
I will tell you, if you know of some casual Texas high school football fans or people that you're trying to get into Texas high school football, you're going to want to be here for next week, week 11. It is always one of the absolute best weeks of this season. So much to focus on, constant action, and we love bringing it to you here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. And we want to remind you one more time, we'll be here on Friday night. You can watch us like you usually do, but on Saturday, November 9th, 10:30 p.m., it is the inaugural Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight playoff bracket reveal show, live from the DCTF studios, starring Greg Tepper, Matt Stepp, Ishmael Johnson, Mallory Hartley, Greg Powers, and our very own Carter Braylon Yates. Excited to bring you that one, all 12 from 6A Division I down to 1A Division II. Full-on brackets. This is the only place online that you can find an exclusive reveal of all 12, and we cannot wait to bring the party to you. That'll do it for us tonight. A fun, unexpected, chaotic night of Texas high school football, as it always is. Ishmael Johnson, I'm Ashley Pickle. A big shout out to all our UNT students here for helping us out and bringing this program to life. For our director, Blaine Tatum, associate producer, Vianney Moreno, and our executive producer there, Mallory Hartley. Have a great night, and we'll see you for the best week of Texas high school football next week in week 11.